Well, I'm sorry. You waiting for your dinner?
Yeah, I thought you were making both of us dinner. You said you were going to make a quick dinner. Where's mine?
It's right here.
All right, let me just reach through the audio planes and grab it.
I was gonna say, like, how you're supposed to get it. I have no idea. That's
Ooh,
up to you,
meatball pizza, my favorite.
No. I made me the meatball pizza. I made you spinach pizza.
Dog food. Oh, okay.
Dog food pizza. Yeah.
Oh yes, I just was in the process of carrying the first wash load up here, and will later have to carry the second wash load. God bless my knees and back.
Nah, I think they can handle it. It's only clothes. Can't be that bad.
I mean, I God bless that I just have to go upstairs. I'm not like people who live in a city who have to go like a couple blocks to a laundromat. It's not.
Yeah, I know. I would hate to be one of those people.
Are you?
No, I'm not. I have my own laundry room.
That's good. That's good.
Oh yeah, but believe me, if I didn't have my own laundry, like laundry machines, I'd be very upset.
That's one of the many privileges that I can't wait until I have a house and I can just be like, oh, thank God, I can just have my own laundry room. Oh
yeah, that's one thing I hated. Like when I was living up in Reading, I hated not having a laundry room. Like having to share the ones in the basement. It was the absolute because the basement was just full of cobwebs and spiders and dirt, and it was cold in the wintertime. It was just not a good time.
Not to mention at my apartment complex, I also need to use quarters for my washer and dryer. Although I don't. I'm not like mad at my landlord. She's very nice. But yeah,
I'm mad at her. I would be very mad at her. I would say this is unacceptable.
There's also no change machine, so it's always I have to go out of my way.
That's the worst part. Yeah.
Literally what I do, Mike, is every time wash needs to be done, I get a 20 out, and I'm like, all right, well, now time to go pillage another laundromat's coin machine.
Oh, man, it's terrible. Like the least that they could do is just say, okay, you all have to share the laundry machines, but at least they're free. But the fact that they should charge you like $1.25 or whatever per load was the worst. And the thing that got now I'm going on a rant here. The thing that I hated the most were there were plenty of times where the machine would not work. As in, like I put the coins in, it takes the coins, the machine runs like the washing machine. I go upstairs back to my apartment, and then I come down like an hour later, and then like the machine just didn't. Oh, it like turned off like 5 minutes in, and then my clothes are just sitting in like water, like dirty water.
That's rough.
Oh, believe me, dude, I was livid. I could not stand it. Then I'm like, well, I have work tomorrow. What am I supposed to do? It's the absolute worst.
Time to grab a trash bag.
Yeah.
You know, me and my girlfriend have went on to, I think it was Etsy or one of those like sites where you can get those little like custom made things. And believe it or not, you can actually buy a key to open washers and dryers that have those coin slots because it's a very generic key. It's not like a special type of lock. It's like almost one and it almost does it for all. And we're like, really? Should we do that? Because we've heard the story that apparently it was from other tenants that were in our apartment is why they had to implement the change in the washer and dryers. But yeah, I don't know. It's tempting because it does add up every once in a while.
I mean, to be fair, I would say if you can't get the key, then just use a hammer. I mean, I would just say like no mercy. I have to get this money out of here.
A magnet, just like try to get the coins out of there. Come on, I just need 2 more quarters.
Yeah. And there were times where like I just forgot to get change that day, and like I'm going to do my laundry, and then like, let's see, oh cool, the machine didn't break on me, and then when I go to the dryer, it's like, oh my god, I'm like a quarter short, and that's like great.
Yep.
It's like it is the absolute worst. And the fact it's the absolute worst, and the fact, like kind of like what you said, the fact that they don't even consider putting a change machine down there is like just like a sin. Like they just want to get me mad. I'm telling you.
You know, at least the dryer at my apartment complex has one of those old slide in the like 4 quarters to start it, and that makes me think of those old like sticker vending machines where you'd slide in and then you pull back and the little sticker comes out. You remember those?
Yeah, and some had candy. Like I I still see them at like grocery stores and stuff.
Tying it around to your content, the Collector's Vault, I've been to places where they had Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon cards.
Yes, I have seen that before too. And let me tell you right now, I've never pulled anything good out of those damn machines.
No, me either. It's got like one holo card and then like 99 commons.
Yeah. Like, I can't tell you how many times I'm like, oh my gosh, there's like really nice Typhlosion on the front of this. And then I get Pidgeys. I'm like, oh. And each Pidgey costs like $1.25 and it feels pretty bad. Oh, man.
Now, I know it's not technically October yet, but I must say, listener beware, you're in for a scare. Spoopy month, it's coming. October is this week. Can you believe it?
I love Spoopy month.
Don't we all? I have no plans. I was thinking today at work, I almost want to like make a list for every day. I want to almost do that challenge where you watch like a horror movie every day. Because I really love watching horror movies during Halloween. I don't know why. Oh, yeah,
me too. I mean, I would say I don't watch them as often as I want to, especially now because Amanda's not a fan of them. So I can only really watch them sparingly. I mean, it sounds like Megan's a fan of them, so I'm sure you guys can watch a scary movie every now and again.
Yeah, she enjoys them. So when you watch a horror movie, are you going with like, is there like a certain type you want? Like, do you want like the kind of campy, like horror mascot, like a Jason or a
like slasher films?
Yeah.
I think they're the most entertaining, just because it's kind of like they're scary, but at the same time just so ridiculous that it's like stupid but funny.
Right.
So I do like those kinds of movies, like you said, like the Friday the 13th of the world and everything.
I think of the Evil Dead. Those are kind of like hilarious, but also like kind of gory and dark.
I do like it was Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, all those.
Yes.
What's the guy's name? Bruce Campbell. Those movies are pretty funny.
And then there's also like, of course, there's your very gory horror. That's almost like more modern type stuff where there's even like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I guess could be like the classic version of that.
Yeah.
I don't really watch too many of those. Well, I feel like I might bounce all around. And then I'd say there's even like the thriller where it's like not necessarily, you could say like, oh, this isn't really a horror movie, but it kind of provokes that sensation. Then there's also just like, I've never even seen any of like the Paranormal Activities or whatever you want to call those.
I have, and to be fair, I thought they were just not scary at all. It's funny. Go ahead.
No, you have a point. I'm going to go on the whole thing.
This is kind of a bit of a tangent because back when those movies were like the thing, like everyone was talking about them, and they made like 5 of those movies.
Yeah, they made quite a bit of money.
Yeah, I'm sure they did, and it's funny because like when the first one came out, I just said, "Oh, it really wasn't that scary to me," and everyone's telling me like how we talk about it. That's the scariest movie I've ever seen, and I realized because I got into discussions with other friends about this that this is only a movie that's truly scary to people who have experienced similar things. Because I never really experienced like weird things where like there's like noises in my house or like furniture moves. Excuse me, it's burp. Like furniture moves or anything like that. So to me, I just know it's not real. So I never, even though it's like, oh, it's kind of freaky. But like when you watch like some of the movies, or even like I remember like, even like some of like the trailers and commercials were just showing like dark figures in the camera or like chairs moving across the floor. I never thought of it as scary because it just never really like affected me. I guess it didn't really relate to me, even though they were going for like that like Blair Witch Project look where it's like from the perspective of a video camera to make it look more real. Yeah, it just never really really hit me. I mean, did you find these movies entertaining and scary?
Well, like I mentioned, I've never actually watched any of the Paranormal Activity. I do like. Well, that was the point I was going to lead into. Is I do like found footage movies. Like I just watched Blair Witch last year with my girlfriend, and we, when I watch older movies, I do always try to put myself into the time because I think Blair Witch came out in like 2000 or 2001. So that was the first thing ever like that. So a lot of people thought that was a real, like it wasn't even a movie. It was just that happened. Yeah, which is horrifying.
Yeah, that's why it was so clever because it was the first of its kind to do that. It reminds me of the Orson Welles.
Yes.
War of the Worlds radio broadcast. You know, again, first of its kind. So everyone thinks it's real. Like no one thinks like oh no, this is just another video. Like when you see like in theaters, oh, this is like found footage, which is obviously a lie. But like when you read that, you're like, wait, is this real? And then it hits you at home. Like, oh my gosh, there really is a Blair Witch in the woods that killed these kids. Like it was so thrilling at the time.
And there have been other movies like that. I think there's actually like 2 or 3 other Blair Witch movies. I've never watched the other ones. They recently, I know, did a new one. But then there's like, you know, Cloverfield was kind of big. Cloverfield's pretty fun to watch. I don't mind it. There's like the VHS series, which is pretty fun.
Did I watch that one? I think, yeah, I watched VHS, and then that was the same thing.
There's like 3 of them.
Yeah, I think I watched the first one. Is that the one with like the one like vampire girl who like?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I did see that one.
Yeah, they're like,
it was freaky.
They're anthologies, so it's like 3 or 4 little short movies, and yeah, the whole gimmick is these like kids break into this house or something, and then like the house is just kind of dark and creepy and ominous, but they just find this room with a TV and a bunch of like VHS tapes, and each tape has like a name or something on it, and they watch it, and you're watching the, you know, I love that. I think it's a clever idea.
Yeah, I do too. It's not like it didn't like scare me, but it was creepy enough. Like, I think that's a good word. Like it didn't scare me, but the little short films were creepy enough to be like, oh my gosh, this is messed up. I would hate for this to be real. You know, that's kind of like the mentality I have when I watch these things.
And then there's even like whatever you call like the fun genre of like, if you want to watch like, I don't know, Hocus Pocus or maybe like a Scooby-Doo. I don't know, you know, like the fun horror movies, I guess.
And now I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like condemn myself and make everyone on the internet hate me.
Here we go. Hot takes.
I've never seen Hocus Pocus, and apparently that's like blasphemy to say for like people of like our generation. Are you mad at me Are you mad at me that I said that?
Mike, I'm not mad at you because I'm pretty sure it was either last year or 2018 was the first time I saw Hocus Pocus, so I'm not mad at you at all. I was in the same boat for quite a while. And I know my sister loved that movie for a long time, and I probably saw snippets here or there when she was watching it. And I used to watch a lot of Disney Channel when I was growing up, but I just never got into it. But it is actually a very good movie. I suggest it.
Like it looks like a fun like 90s movie. It's just a movie I never saw, so I just never really had like a drive to watch it. And then it became one of those movies that like, you know, I can't say, oh, I've never seen it, because then it's like, oh my gosh, how have you never seen this movie? And I'm like, I don't know, I just never saw it.
I think the appeal with Hocus Pocus is just mainly those 3 witches. Like all 3 actresses who play them just nail it. Like they do such a good job. That's what really holds the movie together. There is like a story, but it's like, who cares about that?
Well, I mean, like I just from being, you know, a 90s kid, I've heard the story. It's like they want to eat children and like lure them back to their house or whatever and like eat them or pretty something much, like that. Yeah. From what I understand, yeah, it was just like their appearance, like the costume design was like what people loved about it, and like I guess some of like the jokes, I don't know. It just became like a cult classic, you know, but just not one that I never watched. But anyway, back to what you were saying. Yeah, I do like those fun, like Halloween themed movies. You know, things that are like, I guess, meant to be silly and goofy, but they have like kind of like that, like creepy Halloween charm. I guess kind of like a movie would be The Nightmare Before Christmas. I know that's obviously a big one. You know,
I was trying to think of more.
Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest ones that I've ever seen, and like one of the ones that is definitely like nostalgic, because like that's the one I used to watch all the time as a kid. It's hard for me to try to think of other ones, because I never really watched like the cornier ones. Like I guess Child's Play was like, well, that was pretty gory. That was like there was like blood and stuff in that one. I think. I don't know, like movies for kids.
Nightmare Before Christmas is about to just hit its stride, because it just pretty much, you can watch that movie throughout the next 3 months. October, November, December, boom.
It's true, because it's both movie. Both a Halloween and a Christmas movie.
You know, honestly, think about it. Like all those like claymation or whatever that anime, like that kind of Tim Burton-y stuff. Like there's the Corpse Bride. I never saw like a lot of these movies, like Coraline or whatever. Like they're all kind of like that creepy vibe. Like I bet you could watch like all those.
it's again, I'm probably going to get many '90s kids mad, but I'm not the biggest Tim Burton fan. Like I like some of his movies. I like his art style. I think it's pretty cool. Like I like the Nightmare Before Christmas is not a movie I can watch over and over again. But I'll watch it like once every couple years just to get that nostalgia back. But like Corpse Bride, I think. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of all the movies.
I just did a switch. A quick Google, and I searched children's Halloween movies, and now I got a good list. They're suggesting here the Casper movie, which I've never seen.
Oh, that's actually a good one. I do remember watching the Casper movie. It was
is Beetlejuice child appropriate? Because I'm about to make people mad. I haven't seen I think I saw Beetlejuice like once, but I don't remember it. I would need to go back to it.
To be fair, I've seen it once, and again, also a Tim Burton movie, so it has like his whole But I would say the movie is just not for me. Like I think I laughed a couple of times because it has like the infamous dancing scene, but like it's not a movie that I want to go back and watch. It's kind of like it's definitely like a cult classic that people just like to go back and watch. There are a lot of weird things in that movie that are like beyond disturbing, like way like creepier than like actual horror movies. So that's a movie I would never go out of my way to watch again. Just too weird. What else on the list?
Another good pick, but one you wouldn't really think right away, Ghostbusters.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Also, again, bordering on that children's, like, there's a lot of adult jokes in there.
Yeah, I would say it's more of like a family movie, like it's good for all ages, like kids and adults. So that way the kids can get entertained, but the adults can get the other humor that's like more meant for, older audiences. I don't get a Halloween vibe from that movie, but I guess it makes sense because it's about ghosts, so it kind of makes sense.
And last but not least, we have everyone's favorite, Spookily the Square Pumpkin.
What? Is that like meant to be like a random movie that we shouldn't hear of?
No, you've never watched Spookily the Square Pumpkin?
No, I'm looking it up right now. Spookily. It's from 2005. What? So I was 15 when this came out because I'm old as heck. Yeah, this is not really the movie that a 15-year-old would watch. What is this? Spookily the Square Pumpkin. If SpongeBob had a pumpkin, it'd be this.
All right. So here's the backstory as to why this is cracking me up. I've never watched this movie either, but I think it was like either last year or a few years ago. Me and Megan were like looking for Halloween movies to watch on Netflix, and we just found this. And we put it on, and there was like some song they were singing, like Spookily the Square Pumpkin, and it was just so like ridiculous. That's the story. So I saw it, and I just had to be like, "Oh yes, of course, Spookily. Who can forget Spookily?"
I do enjoy those like really corny like musicals from these kind of movies. How like all these movies just happen to have like singing, and it's like so bad. It's like hilariously bad.
Yeah, that's what people do on Halloween. They sing.
Yeah, Spookily the Square Pumpkin.
All right.
Anyway,
I'm done talking about Halloween. Who cares? It's pretty much over already. I mean,
don't say that.
October 1st,
you sound like a Target where you just say it's Halloween and all the Christmas decorations are up now.
I was just gonna make that joke.
I stole it from you. Sorry.
Anyways, what happened with my week? Well, got a few things to talk about here. First of all, I want to say ongoing PC issues. Yep, there's still a thing. My poor boy next to me. He's just constantly coughing and basically like dying and then coming back to life.
I think you have to just take it out to the field and shoot it. Just put it down. Get it out of his misery.
Yeah, at this point, I'd probably just I should just steal one of the computers from my job and just use that.
Well, I'm not going to condone stealing, but I mean, I would say yes, maybe time for a new computer, but don't commit to theft. But
yes, that was a joke. I'm not going to steal from my company. But anyways,
I'll steal from another company, not my own.
I'll steal from Mike's company, right next to the Spider Lab.
I didn't hear that. Go at your own risk, Corey.
It's appropriate for Halloween. Spooky.
It is very spooky. I have a funny story to talk about that later.
All right, but anyways, I I believe it was either Tuesday or Wednesday, I wanted to begin my Super Mario 64 playthrough with the Super Mario 3D All-Stars that I purchased on my Nintendo Switch. And I was going to live stream the whole Let's Play, and I kind of made a big thing about it, and I was very excited to do it. And I got 20 minutes into the Let's Play, and my whole computer crashed. And I was like, okay, I don't know why that happened. I'm literally using a capture card. I'm not even all the computer should be doing is recording and streaming. But I guess that was too much for it. So what I ended up doing, which I'll talk about a little bit later, is I did end up going back to play some Super Mario 64, just not live. And yeah, I need to... I was going to get one of my friends to come out to look at it, but he wasn't available this weekend, so I'm just going to have to find another time for him to come look at it. I have an idea of what it could be. It's probably either my processor, my power supply, or possibly my motherboard. I need to figure it out. Or I just need to maybe just pump the brakes on streaming until, I can actually replace whatever needs to be replaced. I don't know.
I remember you had a problem like this before where it was really bad, and then I remember you cleaned out the computer. Did that make any improvements when you cleaned it out? Like you got all the dust out of your console?
It seemed like it, yes.
It's strange that that's acting up again. To be fair, it might just be the computer's just older, and maybe certain things are just starting to go. Like you said, maybe a new motherboard might be needed. Just make sure you have everything backed up, and then just get a new motherboard, maybe a better graphics card for multi. I don't know. Maybe I'm just spitting out things because I have a discussion with some of the guys at my work because they're always talking about computers, and I'm always trying to make mine better as well.
Yeah, and to give you some context, I'm pretty sure, it was in 2018 is when I built this PC, so it is fairly new.
That's very new.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that, and all my friends helped me build it. I honestly don't really know too much about computers, which is why I wanted one of them to come look at it. Because like you said, yes, a few months ago, whenever, I cleaned it out very well, and I thought that was the issue, but now it's happening again. I feel like I thought it was the graphics card initially, but I do think it has to do with the processor, which is why I kind of narrowed it down to those three other things that I mentioned. Because it also is happening. So another issue that I'm having is when I captured that Mario 64 gameplay, when I go to take that file into my editing software, it doesn't have the whole chunk of the 2 hours I played. It has a 5-second chunk. And I'm like, oh, great. I got to render this into a different type of video file so it can work, so I can edit on it, or edit it. And when I go to try to render that video, my PC won't allow it. It'll just crash every time it tries to render it. It'll get a few minutes into the video, but then it will crash. So I also need to figure out another way to get around that, because I don't just want to give up on that, because I want to continue playing Super Mario 64 and making videos. I'm also just going to record it in a different file. I switched that around. This is a little inside baseball, but anyways, that's some of the issues I'm having right now.
Did I'm sorry, this might not be appropriate for the podcast, but did I ever recommend this one program that I'm using called Handbrake? That's what I use to convert all my files to MP4.
Oh no, I'll have to take a look at that.
Yeah, I would recommend it. It's a little bit weird at first to navigate it, because there's 2 pages. The one page is where you upload your files, and then it goes to the rendering page. But it's very fast, and I haven't had a problem with it yet. So that's my little.
I will say this though, my file that I do drag into my editing software is MP4, and I just don't know why when I drag it in, it's just the first 5 seconds. It's not the whole 2 hours. And sometimes when I convert it to a different file, it will work. Then I can render that once I start editing it. It's very finicky. It might be my editing. It might be my editing software. I don't know.
What do you use?
It's called the Movie Studio Platinum 13. It's a Sony Vegas, not knockoff, but a different sub-genre of Sony Vegas.
Interesting. Yeah, I can't say I've ever used that one, because
maybe I should just switch editing softwares, because
that's because I was using Shotcut for the longest time, and that's just garbage. I couldn't use that anymore. I would like to recommend Windows Movie Maker, because that actually used to be like a good software for when it first came out.
For
now
a decent amount of time, yeah.
Yeah, but then recently it's much more different. Now I can't really explain why they made it this way. I think it's much more difficult to navigate and to use. It's not user friendly at all. So
sounds just like Microsoft.
Yeah, sounds about that right.
Maybe I literally have a mod on my PC that makes me have an old desktop. So when I click on the start menu, it looks like a start menu on Windows 7 or something. It's not the big Metro bullshit.
Oh. You know, if you really want to, you could always just put up a little bit of money and get like Adobe Photoshop. They're not Photoshop, Premiere.
That would be nice. These are things to consider. I'll get it figured out, guys. I don't want to give up. And I know I still got all the other stuff I got to work on. Don't worry. Anywho, my other little thing I wanted to talk about is over this past week, I actually kind of broadened my palate, so to say, and I tried a bunch of new foods. So first of all, I bought a bunch of squashes and cooked them myself. So these aren't very uncommon. I'm sure everyone's heard of the two that I'm going to talk about. First off, butternut squash. You know, you usually can get it in like a soup. Maybe sometimes you get it in like chunks. I've had it before, and I'm like, I like cooking, so I'm like, I want to tackle this thing. I want to know how to actually cook this and make it and utilize it in dishes. And then the other one I got was spaghetti squash. Turns out, I didn't realize this, but squashes are also a lot like a pumpkin. A pumpkin is, I guess, in the squash family or whatever. So when you cut up a like a butternut or spaghetti squash, they got all that, like, the innards of a pumpkin, like the seeds and the stringy bits. So that was something I actually didn't expect. You have to literally, like, gut the spaghetti squash and the butternut squash a little bit. But anyways, the butternut squash, what I did is I peeled it, I gutted it, and I diced it up into little cubes, used a little olive oil, seasoned it, baked it. Terrific. Delicious. 10 out of 10. I'm going to get butternut squash more. It's delicious. And maybe I'd like to make like a soup out of it or something like that. The spaghetti squash, I cooked it the way the recipe told me, and I had 2 spaghetti squash, and then you cut them into half. So one of the spaghetti squashes, the 2 halves, I'm making this very confusing. I scooped it out, and it was fine. It got like the strands were coming out almost like spaghetti. That's why they call it spaghetti squash. You can kind of use it as a pasta alternative if you want to be more healthy or whatever. And that worked great. The second one, I go to scoop it out, and it just all comes out in like one chunk. It didn't really like pull apart, so to say. Like it was just one big piece. And I don't know if I overbaked it or underbaked it, but that one I kind of just ended up like dicing up. I was trying to make like a pasta dish, like essentially just like a spaghetti and then add this, but then I just ended up mixing it all up, and it kind of even looked like soup or like slop, as I called it. But it's quite good. I don't know if I'll make spaghetti squash again, but you know what, the foundation there, I'm like, all right, if I just put regular like spaghetti in here or something, it'll be better than slop. But like the slop was a huge hit in the Game Bro Corey household. Let me tell you, my girlfriend loved it.
Is this what you showed me that looked like soup?
Yes.
Yeah. It didn't. I mean, please don't take this the wrong way. It didn't look that appetizing because I'm picturing in my head. I'm picturing in my head spaghetti squash, and I'm like, oh, that's not spaghetti. that's squash soup.
Pretty much.
Hey, if it tasted good, then that's awesome.
Yeah, it had good flavor. I'm a good cook. I can season my food. I know how to do all that.
Well, I can make a mean bowl of cereal, if you know what I mean.
Oh, that's a tricky one. I still haven't perfected that.
I know.
My cereal is always undercooked in the middle. I'm like, how?
Yeah. Whenever I burn the top, I'm just like, not again.
Isn't that a Simpsons bit? Like, doesn't Homer like pour milk into a bowl and then it lights on fire or something?
Yes, that is a Simpsons bit. I'm glad you got the reference.
There you go. I think I've seen like 2 episodes of Simpsons, but I know that. Anyways, before you get mad at me, the other new thing that I ate this weekend is Indian food. I have never tried any Indian cuisine, and if I have, it was a complete accident, or I was uncultured and didn't know it was an Indian dish. But my girlfriend got a recommendation from one of her coworkers about this local Indian place. I don't remember the name, so I can't really shout them out. But we decided what my girlfriend wanted to do is she wanted to essentially get the food like takeout and then go to the park and have like a little picnic with the Indian food. And I'm like, that's a little unusual, but I dig it. I like eating outside and I like the park. So that's what we ended up doing. I believe it was chicken tiki masala, which was like, it's like chicken, tomato, green peppers, and onions in this like tomato curry sauce. And then it was over like, both our dishes came with like a big bed of rice. And the rice had like this spice blend in it. It was still white rice, but they put something in there. And like, again, I'm just very unfamiliar with like Indian culture and Indian food, so I don't even know like what kind of spices were in these things. Like or in our food, like we were eating them and we were like, this is very peculiar. We've never had food quite like this. Overall, though, I loved it. I will gladly eat more Indian food in the future. It's delicious.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna make a bit of an inappropriate joke, but from what I'm sure you've heard about Indian food, it probably isn't wise to eat that at a park, with no nearby restrooms or anything.
Well, let me just tell you, so it came in like 2 containers. One was like all the like meat and curry type dishes, and then the other one was like where the rice was in. And as we were pouring the like curry part on our rice on this park bench, we spilled a little bit on the bench, and me and my girlfriend made the joke where we were like, no one's going to think that's curry. We all know what people would think this is.
Oh.
We cleaned it up, though. I'm not a messy person. I clean my messes.
I was going to make the joke that when you said it came in 2 bowls or 2 pet, I was like, oh yeah, one for the food and one for your butt. It's like, here, you have a little portable toilet,
I mean, if I don't mean to get too gross, but nothing has expelled from me yet, and that was it. I ate that yesterday at like 11 a.m., so I'm still okay. There was no explosion yet.
How crude, Corey. How crude.
Don't worry, everyone. Just follow me on Instagram. I will gladly post the aftermath if you're curious.
Did you take pictures of that bench?
No, I should have. Looked like modern art.
Yeah, the caption could have been no one's going to believe that's tomato curry. And that would have been hysterical.
But that's all I got. Did you do anything exciting this week, Mike?
Nope. It was just a busy week at work. Taking care of the pup. He's been very good. I guess to be fair, the only really exciting thing I've done is I've gotten my puppy Leo involved in one of my videos, and I do want him to be more involved in some of my little YouTube videos, kind of like as a bit of like a little partner. I did recently.
Is he a partner, or is he like a mascot, or is he like somewhere in between?
He's somewhere in between. He's like a good luck charm. That's what I call him.
I feel like I could see you like getting a little like Pikachu outfit or costume for him or something like that.
Believe me, I have been trying to get Amanda to agree that we should do me as Ash, her as Misty, and Leo as Pikachu. I would die.
There you go.
Yeah, I even said, hey, that'd be like, I think even like when like a long time ago we said, oh yeah, like when we're married and we have a kid, that can be a really cute Halloween costume. And he was just like, no, we're not doing that. And I'm like, why not? It's amazing. It's an amazing costume. And then
all right, 1, I agree with you. B, I already did that with my girlfriend, but we don't have a dog. She was Pikachu. And Q, me and my girlfriend should dress up as Jesse and James, and then we can have our cat Stu be Meowth.
Yes.
Perfect.
The Team Rocket costume is also another great idea. Like, why won't people do that? And like, you don't even need Meowth. The fact that you have your cat Stu is even better. But like, you just need. It's a great couple costume,
I just need my girlfriend to buy a $600 wig.
Yeah. And you just gotta get you just get a bunch of blueberries, step in them, kind of like how the old folks, how they used to make blueberry wine in the old country, and then just dip your head in that, and then you're good to go for James.
It reminds me of that classic YouTube video where that lady in the news is like stomping on the grapes and she like falls. Have you ever seen that?
I have.
That's ancient. Where, oh God, I sound like a fossil talking about that thing.
I guess I just realized you can get some more of the tomato curry, and then that's what Megan can use to make Jesse's hair.
Fair enough. I mean, it was more of a brown color, but yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking tomatoes, but yeah. Anyway.
So how many packs of cards are you gonna have Leo open up?
I was actually considering of letting him have one and just like, cause here's my little theory. Technically, this applies to most card games. I think Magic might be the exception, but like in Yu-Gi-Oh, and Pokemon, the rare cards are in between other cards. It's like the commons and the uncommons surround the rare card. So I was thinking like I could like jokingly let him hold like a pack of cards in his mouth, but then I'm thinking like, man, this is gonna be the day when there is like a Charizard in that pack, and he's gonna have like enough bite force to pierce all those cards and destroy it. So like, let me just take a picture of the packs next to him. Like I'm sure you saw on YouTube. I am a coward. I'm not taking a chance with the jaws of life that he has there. But yeah. One thing I guess that did happen last week was a big deal. Was the latest Pokemon like pack came out, but it's not like one of the traditional booster packs. This is kind of like I'm sure you know, like in Yu-Gi-Oh when like the side sets would be announced. One came out for Pokemon and it's been incredibly popular already. It's like sold out everywhere. I can't even find it in stores. So I had to get I actually won a box and a raffle for $25, which is really good. And I think nice. I bought a few more. Yeah, and I bought a few more boxes just for like my own like personal sealed collection. The problem is, if you want to get the reason why these are so popular is because there are 2 Charizards to pull in this box. And again, this is not like a traditional booster box for anybody who's not very familiar with cards. These are like boxes that you get like at Walmart and Targets and GameStops and all the other stores, and there's only I think they're called Elite Trainer boxes, and they only have about 8 or 10 packs. So a booster box of this set does not exist. So you have to spend like $30 to $40 to get like those little like packs that you might see like at Walmart and Targets. And of course, these things are sold out everywhere. Like, you can't get them. And although they retail for like $40 to $50, I think $40 at your local store, these are selling for $80 minimum online for these boxes. So
wow.
That's why it's a good big deal. Like if you can find them for retail at like your local store, that's incredible. Because I on Friday, which was like the release day, that there are people who are just out there like 8 a.m. traveling the tri-state area to get these boxes. So when I left work at like 5 or 4:30. I tried to get to I went to the one store on my way home, and sure enough, there was nothing there. And I have a feeling that someone just cleaned it out before I got there. So I do have a few boxes, but I'm actually looking to maybe do like a collaboration with someone on YouTube and maybe do like a pack battle. Because I do want to open some. I do want to open like 1 or 2 of these up and see if I can go on the hunt for that Charizard. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, that's fun.
And let's see what else I do. Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't really do a lot last week because we were watching the puppy. We're trying to get like a nice little. We're trying to schedule like a nice little not vacation, kind of like a trip. I think we talked about this last week. We do want to take a little trip to like a pumpkin patch and just do something outdoors, take some cute pictures, and we also want to take Leo with us. So that's kind of like on the bulletin board of ideas. So we'll see. We'll see if we can get something planned.
That sounds like fun.
And yeah, besides that, just typical eBay stuff. Working on some videos and playing some games, which again, we'll talk about on the later half of the podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I really have for this week.
All right. With that being said, let's get right to it.
Alrighty.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Level With Me podcast, episode 66. I am one of your hosts, Game Bro Corey. How you doing, everyone? And I am joined here once again with my co-host, Mike, aka The Collector's Vault. How you doing today, Mike?
I'm doing pretty good, Corey. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Level With Me. I hope you guys have your pumpkin spice coffees and beers and other drinks with you, because we have quite the episode of to talk. I can't talk. Quite the episode, and we have quite the news to discuss with you guys.
I just was on Twitter and saw a stupid thing from Kraft Mac and Cheese that said Kraft Mac and Cheese pumpkin spice, and it was in like a Starbucks type drink, and I was like, oh my god, why?
Well, that sounds unhealthy.
Why must these food atrocity? Why must Kraft haunt me with these nightmares?
I hope it's not like they're haunting you, as in like they're taunting you to be like, "Oh, buy this, Corey," and you're like, "Oh, I want to buy it so bad, but I can't afford it." Or are you saying like it's haunting you, like, "Oh, it's disgusting. I don't want to eat it." It's
a food crime.
Okay,
you don't put pumpkin spice on Kraft Mac and Cheese, you psychos.
Well, we thought the same thing about meatball pizza, and look, it's our favorite. It's our favorite pizza now.
I love pumpkin too. Literally hours ago, I ate a big slice of pumpkin loaf with cream cheese frosting. Out of this world, amazing. But yes, don't put pumpkin spice where it belongs. Don't put it in mac and cheese.
In my belly.
Maybe on meatball pizza. Maybe.
Well, now you're just talking madness with your meatball pumpkin pizza. Wait, pumpkin ball pizza. Oh, it's a thing.
Pumpkin meat pizza? Meatball pumpkin?
Meatkin.
That seems like the easiest thing to actually do. Just get a big meatball and, carve the jack-o'-lantern face on it. Ta-da! Maybe get some fondant, make it orange.
That's actually an idea. I'll get a fine knife and I'll get the biggest meatball I can find, and I'll make my Jacko meatball, my meatball lantern. I don't know.
That thing when it lasts. When you carve a jack-o'-lantern, it usually lasts maybe like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. A giant meatball jack-o'-lantern would last like 2 hours. You'd have raccoons, stray dogs, possums.
Maybe even the neighbors thinking, "Ooh, I can use that to make some meatball pizza."
Is that a giant meatball? Oh, hell yeah. Start eating right off your front doorstep.
Yeah, they're on the porch, just taking handfuls.
You're like, "Excuse me, I didn't even light the candle inside yet."
I'll have to grab my broom. Get out of here.
Oh man. But this is the number one video game podcast in the world. That's Level With Me podcast. And we're going to start off here with some video game news stories that happened over the previous week. And first of all, right here, streamer breaks Twitch record after 1,000 hours on air. Now look here, Mike. I just was telling you how I was having these PC issues. So I just think it's appropriate now that I have to pass the baton to you, where I say, we're the number one video game podcast. Now you need to beat this man, clearly. You need to break his record.
I have to break the record?
That's correct, yes.
Because my computer is... I don't know. I'm not sure if my computer is capable of doing this. I think we've all... My computer has fallen to technical difficulties.
Now, mind you, this article talks about how he did do this nonstop. Like, he has segments where he will take naps. I don't know what he does for the bathroom. I don't think they explain that. He'll take the camera with him if he goes to the store or something. So I assume you can just, bring it into you with work. You can just put your phone on your desk or however you work and just be like, "Oh, God, all right, guys, we're just doing my taxes," or whatever you do at your job.
I'm more impressed to see the Twitch the viewer who was actually watching the entire time and never stopped. I'm like, man, how boring is your life that you just want to watch this guy do? I did the math here. It's basically 41 and a half days of just nonstop streaming.
That's crazy.
So who's out there actually watching this guy for over 41 days?
And believe it or not, he is still live right now. I checked his Twitch account when I queued this article up. His name is GP Hustler, And like I said, you can go watch him still. This is kind of like his gimmick until I don't know. Hopefully he doesn't die. I mean, he's sleeping.
I was going to say, you can go check him out right now. He's pretty zombie-like because he hasn't slept in he hasn't had a good night's sleep in 41 days. But I mean, I'm sorry, like a nap here and there is not going to cut it. At least not for me.
Well, I don't know what he did because I think he didn't just take naps. I think it's in the article. Like he'd sleep for a little bit. Like he'd sleep during his stream. I don't know how he did it.
I mean, I guess technically, like, is it cheating to be like, okay, guys, I'm just going to go to sleep now and just leave the stream? Leave the stream running? Because
as long as he's still streaming while sleeping, I don't think it's cheating technically. I know. But then you just have a bunch of freaks watching you, sleep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could always like technically just put the camera and like have your camera like I don't know, like stream like you random generic video game play or just like a screensaver or something. So technically, it's not like you're streaming yourself sleeping. I mean, he could do that, and I'm sure that there are some creepy people out there who would enjoy that. But my logic is, do you think he's just saying, all right, guys, I'll be back in like 6 hours, and he just goes to sleep, but it just never turns off the stream? So like technically, to me, yeah, it is a nonstop stream, but he's not actually streaming during the time when he's sleeping, So I think it's cheating.
Fair point. He could also just be conning us all and just have it be like a video, perhaps.
It could be. It's kind of like when you cheat the GameCube when you want to get Mewtwo on Super Smash Bros. Melee. Yeah, I'll just leave the GameCube running for 24 hours. It's like that's the cheating way to get them. I've been.
Melee and the GameCube, some of the best video games and video game products ever. Speaking of video games, the Game Awards December premiere date revealed. The Game Awards are set to return this year on December 10th. Because of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, there will not be a live audience this year, but host Jeff Keighley announced that this year's awards show will be hosted from 3 international locations: Los Angeles, London, and Tokyo. The Game Awards will be hosted live on Thursday, December 10th, 2020, as a digital live stream. The annual awards show, hosted and founded by Jeff Keighley, honors some of the best games of the year and are also where games receive new trailers or premieres. That's the big wink, wink, nod, nod. It's fun for everyone in the games industry to be like, oh, we make good things, right, guys? And we all give each other pats and high fives. But show me some brand new, live, intense, hot new video game trailers and premieres.
Oh,
if you have to make one like just crazy trailer premiere, just spitball. Tell me.
Me?
Yeah.
I was gonna say Halo, but
a dream. Yeah.
I was gonna say Halo, but we already had that. Technically, it was not the most exciting thing.
I could see them like actually. I mean, that seems kind of realistic. Like, I could see a Halo Infinite trailer and be like, "Here's the new release date."
Yeah. Here's an idea. They could do Halo. I'm sorry for cutting
Smash.
You off. Whoa. No, that's how you start off of the VGAs. Oh my god. I'm reminded of it because I was really pumped for Halo 3. So I remember when Halo 3 had a really good trailer. And it was, or maybe it was more of like a TV commercial. And I'm sure you're familiar with it when Chief wakes up from like shell shock and his helmet's off, and you just see from like his point of view, he grabs the helmet, puts it on, and then then he grabs one of those like bubble shields and turns it on, takes the hit from one of those like giant tanks, and just runs into like a big pile full of like the Covenant guys, and like that was a really cool like awesome trailer or commercial. So if they would actually have like a really like kind of like badass commercial or trailer for Halo, that'd be a good way to start
hype.
off.
Yeah,
because the other one was more like, well, this is what the game's gonna look like. Oh, Halo's coming. Halo 6 is coming. All right, cool. But like an actual like epic blood pumping trailer commercial, that's how I think it is a good way to start off VGAs.
I
agree. For Xbox.
Yeah, I could see that. I think the trailer you're talking about, I think that might have been the E3 reveal, but I don't remember.
I remember. I just remember one.
That was like the first ever trailer they showed of Halo 3.
Yeah, I just remember watching it and I was so pumped. It was just very well done to at least get just to get you like so ready. Well, no. I think the first trailer was where you see like Master Chief like walking through a bunch of rubble and like Cortana's like glitching out on the screen, and then you see that giant like portal open up in the crater on Earth. I think that was the very first trailer with the piano piece and everything. Like dun dun.
Oh yeah,
dun. That might have been the very first reveal. But the other one I'm thinking of is I think it was more of like the TV commercial. Maybe I can find it while we're talking. But anyway, go on, Corey.
I mean, I'll just say the obvious of pipe dreams for me at the VGAs. I would love to see anything from Breath of the Wild 2 or Metroid Prime 4. That's pretty obvious.
Oh yeah, that is also one I would love to see. I mean, I would say this, just like the last 2 years, this is a very good opportunity for them to show up anything, even a teaser. I just want something for Metroid Prime 4.
Cranky Kong, here he comes.
Oh my gosh, you think I'm like joking around with you? No, I'd be so pumped to see Cranky Kong. But technically, there's much better things for. Is this like a Smash reveal, or are you making fun of Retro Studio?
No. Yeah, I think it was that one reveal for Tropical Freeze. Yeah.
To be fair, that was actually kind of cool, but I remember people were pretty pissed. Initially, they were pretty pissed, but then I love that game, so I can't be mad at it.
I don't remember. Like, Nintendo usually does have a pretty good, like, strong point from the Game Awards. Like, I'm trying to remember what they showed last year, but I remember in 2018, there was like Bayonetta 3 was announced. They revealed the first like Smash character, and if you remember, that was like the same night Smash was coming out. So that was huge.
Joker. Yeah, that was when they revealed Joker. Yeah. I'm trying to think. What else? Yeah, crap. Why can't I remember?
I think the VGAs before that, or like 2 years before that, they showed like more Breath of the Wild, or showed like more of the gameplay or something, like before we knew what it looked like.
Yeah, you're right. The one VGA was all, like before the release. I think that was a big part of it, and it was enough for us to watch. I was like, yes, please give us more of this. And that
personally for me, I was also gonna say I'd love to see Elden Ring from Software. They've been very quiet on that game. That's like their next like Souls type game. I want to know more about it.
Fair enough. What else is there? Oh, here's one, and this is just me being a bit of like a fanboy. So I am not the biggest PlayStation guy, but I've had PlayStation, PS2, and everything, and my brothers have it. But like when I was younger, growing up, I was a big fan of the Sly Cooper series for PlayStation. That would be a cool way to start it off. Is they give us Sly Cooper 5, which has been like overdue for the last 7 years. Like
that would be cool.
Yeah, people are talking about like a Metroid drought. To be fair, Sly Cooper is a really underrated game series, and I think that'd be a really cool way to start it off. Because I know it's not the most popular game series out there, but I think it has like enough fans where people be like, "Oh my gosh, is this a Sly Cooper game?" Like I think that'd be pretty cool.
I agree.
Sorry. Yeah, that just popped off the top of my head.
No, you're good. I think we're going to move on because there's really no announcement other than, hey, this is when it's happening, Oh,
wait. One more thing.
Go ahead. Sure.
It's going to be Doom Guy with the next like Doom game, and it's going to say, coming soon to Xbox Series X and PS5, and then you just see who's the CEO for Xbox coming going, psych, it's all ours, bitch.
Phil Spencer.
Phil Spencer, that's his name, yeah.
Doom Guy just chainsaws the PS5 logo.
Oh my gosh! Just like when Rare did the Banjo-Kazooie and Conquer thing for when Microsoft bought Rare, they had a chainsaw too, and it's like we're on Xbox now, and the whole world cried.
Yeah, very sad. Banjo-Kazooie, nuts and bolts. Who? What?
I'm gonna go drink my sorrows away really quick.
Well, I have something to make you a little bit happier. The Tokyo Game Show 2020 happened last weekend, or whatever you want to call it. And there was a lot of cool announcements, and we're kind of going to go through everything in here. So, I mean, right off the bat, I don't really have this at the end of the news article, but it's literally also the first thing in this news article. They showed a lot more of that there Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Did you by chance happen to see our girl Young Impa?
I did, yes. And
Very
she's building up quite the fan base already.
Very Naruto-esque with shadow clones and kunai. I love it. She looks great.
Young Impa is best Impa.
Clearly, in my opinion, one of the most interesting characters of that roster. I didn't really get to watch too much gameplay for this, so I can't really comment on how much has changed compared to the original Hyrule Warriors. Did you watch any gameplay of this, Mike?
I watched a little bit. I would say the gameplay doesn't really seem to be that much different. It seems pretty true to the original. Visually, obviously, it has the visuals of Breath of the Wild, which I really like. I do like how your characters are the champions, Zelda and Link, obviously. And then kind of like what you're saying about Young Impa, I think it's cool that there are going to be other playable characters that are just like in a way new to us. You know, like 100 years ago, you know, Impa was younger, so we can fight as Impa. And I'm trying to think of like other like characters that we might see. Like I don't know if they're going to have us play as the king. I kind of doubt that. Maybe some other like notable characters that I'm trying to think. Were there any other like characters that we might have seen like in Breath of the Wild? But the thing is, like again, it's 100 years ago. So Impa is like the exception because she's older in the first game. So, but I think it's cool because like one of the things I thought was pretty neat is that there seems to be a lot of consistency between the champions at the very least. Because unlike in the very first one, everyone was very unique with their attacks and everything. Like no one really had anything similar. But like in this one, it seems like all of the champions, and I guess including Zelda too, can use the runes from Breath of the Wild. So that seems to be like one like recurring theme for all of the characters that you can play as. You can all utilize runes, which I guess means you can all use bombs and like the stasis and everything, which is pretty neat.
Well, it makes sense. They got those Sheikah slates.
Yeah, well, that was the thing I was unsure of. I'm like, oh, did they all have Sheikah slates? I thought that was just something that Link had, but I guess not. And to be fair, maybe that's just like maybe that's just for gameplay. Maybe that's not like a canonical thing, but I don't really think it's a big deal.
Going back to what you were saying, yeah, they did confirm there is like one hidden character, and I was talking to my coworker today about that, and we were kind of speculating that it probably has to be the king because we don't really know who else it could be unless it's just like a random pick.
I'm wondering if they're ever going to give you like the option to play as a bad guy, because I remember in Hyrule Warriors there was like a Ganondorf campaigin. So I wonder if there was like
that.
That'd be kind of neat if you can play as. I mean, I'm not sure you can play as Ganon because right now he's like he's like in his calamity form. So I don't know. We'll have to see.
I'm sure they'll reveal it soon. I mean, the game comes out in November.
Yeah, it comes out in like 2 months.
It's wild.
Less than that. Yeah. Oh, can't wait for that.
Speaking of more games I can't wait for, Monster Hunter Rise got a bunch of gameplay and new abilities and combat. I actually got to watch a little bit of this when I was pulling the news stories because I was like, how did I not get a chance to watch gameplay for this? I'm very curious. I mean, it looks like what Monster Hunter is, that kind of, hunting monsters. I would say this one looks more in line of what they did with Monster Hunter World, where they kind of made it a little more tangible and not as obtuse for newer players, which is good. Graphic-wise, the game also looks great on the Nintendo Switch. I like the look of the worlds. The one area the player was running around in was kind of this, like, it had, like, it was like a forest, but it had some, like, feudal Japan. Like, there was, like, almost like a dojo or a temple in the area that was kind of like withered and run down, and I thought that was pretty neat because at least in Monster Hunter World there wasn't really any structures in the levels. It was more just like a forest or like a ocean or something like that, so I thought that was cool. The gameplay looked solid. I mean, it looked like Monster Hunters, except now it looked like Monster Hunter World, except now you have big doggos with you that you can ride and they'll attack with you.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah,
I think it's fun having like little companions with you.
Yeah,
because forgive me, I'm not the biggest Monster Hunter guy. Like, what are the little cats that kind of act as like companions?
Palicos.
Palico, okay.
And yeah, they would kind of like. I don't think they would actually like attack, and if they did, it didn't really do anything. But yeah, they were kind of like your assistants. Like they would like get you,
heal you.
they'd heal you or get you items and stuff like that.
I'm pretty sure, like when I was playing Monster Hunter Tri all those years ago, there have been some times where like the little cat guy, the Palico, would like jump and attack. And you're right, his attacks were pretty pointless. But I think just once in Blue Moon, he would attack and like actually damage one of the big monsters. And it was kind of comical seeing them like writhe in pain when this little cat just goes like "Hi-ya!" and like attacks it, and it just like you break their armor.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's funny.
It was just like that one time where like the armor had like 5 HP left, and the little guy just jumped and hit it for 5 damage or something. I don't know.
I'm scrolling through the rest of the Tokyo Game Show announcements. There's nothing I would say too crazy. I mean, there were a lot of things that we already knew about. Got like new trailers. Like there was more stuff for Balan Wonderworld. That's like that the Sonic creators like new game. It's kind of like a 3D platformer action game type thing. Nier Replicant, which I'm kind of excited for. It's like a prequel to Nier Automata, which is like an action game developed by Platinum Games. It's very fun, like an action RPG. New Dynasty Warriors announced. I could care less about that.
Yeah, we care about the Hyrule Warriors only.
I don't really think there wasn't a new Resident Evil 8 trailer. Oh, they did announce that they want to not only put Resident Evil 8 on next gen, but also on the previous gen, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty neat.
I was going to save this for a completely other article, but I guess we'll talk about it now as well. There's going to be a Resident Evil CG series, Resident Evil Infinite Darkness, coming to Netflix.
Yep, I actually heard about this, but I forgot all about it until I saw this in the article, and I'm happy you brought this up, because I do want to talk about it a little bit. I'm pretty sure we talked about this before, but...
we talked about, there was a rumor that there was one that had, like, Wesker's, like, 2 daughters. I don't know if that's, like, a separate thing, or if that was what this was, but it was just twisted, or, like, a game of telephone where people were like, oh, it's about this, oh, it's about... I don't know. Yeah, this looks cool, though. I agree with you.
Yeah. Well, let's just wait and see what comes from that.
Yeah. Other than that, I'm trying to look around. I mean, there's a lot of cool announcements in here. There's a demo for the new Kingdom Hearts rhythm game. Virgil is coming to Devil May Cry 5 on the PS4 and Xbox One, so it's not just the next-gen versions. Some new details about Scarlet Nexus. That game looks really cool, like a very anime action game that looks like the gameplay looks really good. I'm not really seeing anything else on this list that's catching my eye, so we might just head into our next story here.
Alrighty.
Overall, some good announcements. Okay, this news story, this came out of nowhere, and I was shocked. Amazon announces Luna Cloud gaming service. You heard it here first, guys. Amazon is launching a cloud gaming service called Luna that will stream games to PC, Mac, and Fire TV, as well as web apps for iPhone and iPad. Android is listed as coming soon. That's right, boys and girls. Amazon is just doing what Google did, essentially. This is just Amazon's Google Stadia.
To be fair, though, the concept can work. Google did not implement it very well. But Amazon, if they're going to focus on it as being like an actual streaming service where like you have to play it at your house, okay, and as long as they're not, as long as like they're, oh no, I'm reading this. I was going to say as long as like their expectations aren't too high, but they're saying 4K resolution at 60 FPS. Okay, for select titles. Okay, that's actually understandable. Because like, when Google was like with Google Stadia saying, "Oh yeah, you can play like Mortal Kombat," I'm like, no, you can't. It's the lag's gonna be so terrible on those games. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I'm like ranting because like I just feel like this is a good concept, but the world is just not ready for it yet.
No, I agree with you. You're right. I will say I do like the style of the Luna controller, even though everyone is making the joke that it's literally just the Switch Pro controller, which it is. Go Go ahead.
So I was gonna say a little tangent here. I had a discussion at work with some of my coworkers, and we were talking about like video games and like pro controllers and how like they're slowly becoming like they're slowly just conforming to like
Uniform.
a standard shape.
It's just like an Xbox controller, essentially.
Yeah, even like the PS5 controller is like slowly just like leaving its like rigid PS controller look and like slowly developing like curvature and everything. It seems like they're all morphing into one like uniform controller.
The GameCube, it's the best controller. They're all copying the GameCube,
as they should. But but yeah, and so it is funny that my first impression was, yeah, that looks like a Nintendo Switch Pro controller. I'm sure, like from all different angles, you might be like, oh, it probably resembles many Pro controllers or many other controllers, you know. But anyway,
just to get some more information for y'all, Amazon's own the Luna Game Plus channel will launch with games such as Resident Evil 7, Control, A Plague Tale: Innocence, and Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair for an introductory price of $5.99 per month. Luna Plus will offer 4K resolution at 60 FPS for select titles and allow subscribers to play on 2 devices simultaneously. Amazon also announced a Ubisoft game channel that will give subscribers access to Ubisoft games on the day and date they launch regularly with support of 4K resolution and mobile gameplay. No price was mentioned for the Ubisoft channel. According to Amazon, that is the first of multiple Luna game channels in development where customers can play games from their favorite publishers and genres. Luna also will feature integration of the Amazon-owned Twitch streaming platform, with Amazon announcing players will see Twitch streamers for games in the service, and from Twitch, they'll be able to instantly start playing Luna games. Yeah, it's just very... even in the article, they directly compare it to Google Stadia as a competitor, which it is. I will say... this definitely is launching much better than what Google Stadia launched. Like, Google Stadia launched and had, like, I feel like 10 or 12 games. Like, it was a very, I don't know, it wasn't a great launch. Yeah.
Also, I think it was the fact that, like, it was expensive, too. Because not only did you pay for the service, but then you had to pay for the games.
You did. They were just full price. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I always said, like, the concept that Google Stadia, I think, was trying to go for was it was going to be Netflix for video games, you know, or
exactly.
Like the Xbox, what's it called, Game Pass, like that is a working concept.
Yeah.
And Google Stadia was not that. It should have been, and it wasn't. So it seems like as long as Amazon strays closer to that formula, it should be just fine. Because I think what was the price that I had listed right here? It was like $5.99 a month or something like that. That's actually that's great. $5.99 a month. Like, isn't that comparable to Xbox? Game Pass price? Like, that's what they need to do.
And as long as, you know, the streaming is pretty good, like, yeah, it could work. You know, the quality and there's not as much like input lag. I mean, I don't think there's any like multiplayer games, which is good. Like, it's all, you know, single player stuff.
I feel like it would work better for single player stuff. When you have like the online stuff, that's where like anybody's like faulty connection can impact this, especially if the servers are not just up to snuff.
That's correct. And God forbid you have, like, let's say they just put Call of Duty on there and you have Jimmy playing on his iPhone in high school, and, you know, you're just trying to play while Jimmy's like stuttering around, as an example, I guess.
Yeah, it's little Jimmy.
Anyways, that's cool. New video game consoles enter the market every day, you know. I feel like we've talked about how back in the day there used to be like 18 different consoles. Well, history repeats itself. We're almost there again.
Yeah, it's no longer the big three. We're starting to have other people pop up.
Anyways, speaking of big video game companies, Blizzard co-founder opens new game company Dreamhaven, developing 2 new games. Blizzard co-founder and ex-CEO Mike Morhaime has announced Dreamhaven, a new games company with 2 internal development studios, each of which is working on a new game and is headed by other Blizzard veterans. As reported by GamesBeat and the Washington Post, Dreamhaven is designed as an overarching company offering guidance and funding within which development studios can open. Its first 2 internal studios are Moonshot and Secret Door. And then they go on to talk about the people behind each of these studios. Moonshot studio head is Jason Chase, Blizzard executive producer who worked on Hearthstone and lead producer on StarCraft 2. He's joined by Dustin Broder, game director of StarCraft 2, Heroes of the Storm, and Command and Conquer, and Ben Thompson, creative director of Hearthstone, as well as the group of other seasoned developers. Secret Doors studio head is Chris Sagatti, executive producer of Hearthstone, StarCraft 2, and Heroes of the Storm, and the lead producer of the original Warcraft 3. He's joined by Eric Dodds, first game director on Hearthstone, and Alan DeBeery, game director of Heroes of the Storm, and a team of other veteran developers. All I have to say about this is I completely understand why these people are all doing this. You can even just look at all the games that these people worked on. Besides Hearthstone, like, all those games are kind of dead. Blizzard, ever since Activision bought out Blizzard has just changed completely, and you can tell, like, the team doesn't like it. And, you know, you can even look back at other BlizzCons, the whole controversy with, you guys have phones, right? Like, just that mentality. Like, you can tell, like, it's not... Blizzard, I think, used to be almost like a Pixar quality in video games.
Oh my god, Blixar! I just called them Blixar.
That's a great... You got the podcast name, Blixar.
There we go. But yeah, so Blizzard, I agree, used to be like upper echelon of gaming studios. They were huge. It's kind of like something like when you gosh, what's a good one? I guess like Bethesda is like one of the other big ones. Like nowadays, like Bethesda really became like a big name.
I got a good comparison. What about a BioWare? Like almost exactly the same.
That's a good one. And then they were sadly bought out.
And then Anthem came out.
Yeah. But yeah, like, same thing. So it is a shame that like Blizzard used to be so big. I remember as a kid, I loved anything Blizzard just because I was a big fan of StarCraft.
StarCraft's so good.
And wanted me to get into like Diablo and Warcraft. I never really I never got into Warcraft. Diablo was pretty cool. And then but I was always a big StarCraft guy. And I just love like the Blizzard, like all their artists, they all have their own like obviously like unique take on things. But like man, like the Blizzard art style is amazing. Like in anything that they do. Like if you go to Blizzard HQ, like their like main like, you know, office building, there's like statues of like just like giant like the Lich King from Hearthstone or from World of Warcraft. There's like giant like Zerg and Terran statues. Like everything is just like it seems like it's so cool there, and they're definitely not the same because I think people have told me that the only really good thing that they have right now is Hearthstone.
You can say maybe Overwatch too.
Overwatch, I heard, is still okay, but like the fact that they haven't really Diablo, we all know is like a big thing. The Diablo 4.
I'm interested in Diablo 4.
Diablo 4 might save it. I think we talked about that before in the podcast in a previous episode. Because yeah, like the Diablo phone thing with phones, like that was a big complete flop. I think what was I going to say? Warcraft, I think, has a new expansion coming out, so I'm sure plenty of those WoW people will be pretty pumped for that.
They're fine. They're making all their money.
It's
all
just
like those cash cows, you know, just giving them their bills.
It's just like Blizzard is definitely not what it used to be. There definitely are a lot of like there's still so much talent there, and that's why I like Blizzard. But this is just one of the results of buyouts. I kind of compare them also to a company like Rare. You know, they were bought out, and then like it was never the same. People left the company, and also again, this is actually a really good comparison. And similar to this, all of the big people who used to work for Rare formed Platonic Studios, who worked on Yooka-Laylee. You know,
that's true. Yep,
I'm seeing a lot of parallels with this. So,
I mean, I'd be quite happy with that because I would love to see what these studios are going to do in the future. Whether they make a StarCraft type of game, or maybe they make a Warcraft type game, like the original Warcraft that was more like a RTS. Yeah, that I'm very curious. This is exciting news.
Yeah, like, I agree. Like, yeah, like please don't take it like for all the listeners. Don't take it like I'm trying to be like negative. I'm saying like when you have like these veterans come together and form like a new studio, like that's a very positive thing because it's like who knows what incredible like concepts and ideas these people can create together. You know?
Yes,
it's something to look forward to.
Definitely, I agree. Speaking of big video game companies, we got a little bit of Microsoft news here, both good and bad, I guess.
It's like mind-boggling.
So first of all, last week we talked about how Microsoft bought Bethesda or ZeniMax, whatever the head studio or whatever the whole corporation is, and Microsoft is not done there. Microsoft will consider buying more video game companies, as reported by CNET in an interview, which is wild.
Like, didn't they say I think they said at the one years ago they were buying like the number was insane of how many studios they're purchasing, and now they're doing this. Where are the games? Like the Xbox One. I'm not even talking about the Series X, because obviously this is all for them having game studios to make games for the Series X. But where were the games from the Xbox One? Like, they bought all these studios, and what do they have to show for it?
Mike,
so
the Xbox One was their Wii U. They're going to learn from the mistakes. I think the Xbox Series X and whatever they do with it, it's going to be good. Hopefully they just don't buy too many of these big studios, so we literally don't have like any games coming out anywhere else.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Like, I'm hoping that with all these studio purchases, that they're not going to make things like exclusive. I know that'll be good for the Xbox family, but it hurts other companies where like they just create so much like random like vacuums that just suck all of like the games out of the void. And, like, yeah, like these games are now Xbox only now, like popular games franchises. That's where it can be kind of frustrating.
And I think I did see an article where it says like Bethesda is still like independent, but I'm sure Microsoft is going to flex that muscle, and I could see them doing timed exclusive stuff, like being like, oh, the Elder Scrolls 6 is on the Xbox for a year before PlayStation, or I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, temporarily exclusive and everything.
They could even do exclusives. Like, that is a possibility. I don't think those big franchises, they would do exclusives. I think we even talked about this. Maybe they'll make like original games on the Xbox, kind of like how Rare did like, Sea of Thieves and their new game that's coming out, Everwild or whatever. Yeah.
And that I'd be fine with. Like if they're gonna buy all these studios, that's where it's like, okay, like don't like buy a studio just because they make Doom. Like, for example, with Bethesda, like don't buy them because cool, now we have Doom and Elder Scrolls and all the other. Like, well, why don't you buy them or work with them and say, hey, like can we pay you? Like, can we make a contract with you guys to have one of your teams create a new IP for us? Like who makes Bayonetta? Is that Monolith? Is that who makes that? Or does Monolith make
Doesn't Platinum Games make Bayonetta?
It's Platinum Games. Sorry, Monolith makes the other Xenoblade games. I'm sorry. Yeah, so technically Platinum Games, is not like specifically only for Nintendo, but like it's just because Nintendo they're the ones who offered to publish Bayonetta 2. That's why it became an exclusive,
Right, yeah.
So why don't they do something like that and say, hey, look, guys, we know you guys are really talented. If Microsoft came over to someone like Bethesda or any of the other big companies and said, look, can you make a game for us specifically? Like, we'll work that out with you. Like, that's understandable,
Yeah.
Because but they're making these companies become subsidiaries, kind of like how Retro Studios is to Nintendo. Like, they can only make games for Nintendo, So, obviously, that's the path that Xbox is going with by making these games. These companies are now, I think the term is subsidiaries. Now it's like they're exclusive to them.
Now I know what y'all are thinking. Microsoft just bought Bethesda. That was a $7.5 billion acquisition. How is Microsoft going to afford to buy more game companies? Well,
they got an answer.
They got a plan for that. Official Xbox Series X and S 1 terabyte expandable storage drive costs $219.99. I literally just had to do a quick Amazon search. I'm like, how much is an external terabyte hard drive? The cheaper ones, about like $50. Gotta love those proprietary gaming attachments.
I like how they use that word. It's proprietary. Like,
oh, I didn't even read the article. That was just I knew that's what it is.
Oh, okay.
But yes, these are essentially Microsoft's new way of having to expand your hard drive. I don't know if you can actually use external ones, but it's like a little slot in the back of their new consoles.
Yeah. I'm worried that they're not gonna be universal. It's like you have to buy the extra. It's kind of like it's basically. I'm getting reminded of when memory cards became a thing.
Yeah, you know? I was gonna make that comparison because in the photo in this article, it's very small and it looks like a memory card.
Yeah, the old school memory cards for PS1, PS2,
additional memory cards.
Yeah, it still has a hard drive, but this is basically for like when I play like Red Dead 2, but it's too much space. Well, here's the answer: just pay an additional $220 to download and play these big games.
Oh,
probably like for like what? Like that's probably enough memory for like 3 big games or something like that. Like, and games are only getting bigger, you know, with the new technology and stuff. So that's why I laugh, because it's like, oh, like here's these. Basically, you're buying memory cards, but like that's enough for like 3 games potentially if they're big games.
And it is unfortunate too if you are someone who's going to buy the Xbox Series S, which is the all digital one, because that one only has a 512 gigabyte hard drive. And like you said, like literally on my PS4 right now, I'm pretty sure I downloaded Modern Warfare on there, and that's like, gosh, that might be like a 100 gigabyte game or something crazy like that. And that's just one game. Yeah.
Getting bigger and bigger with every generation. So.
Yep. Crazy. Well, I mean, like I said, they'll get their money back, maybe. Asterisks. They own the Windows. They got a lot of money.
They own the windows at the Home Depot. They'll sell plenty.
Yeah, I mean the colored windows.
Yeah, the red and the greens and the mouses and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
They'll make plenty of.
Can I just go off on a tangent speaking of that?
Please, go right ahead.
I kind of hate our dystopian future where a lot of these like big corporations don't even have the name of their store. They literally just have a logo or a picture. Like Target doesn't have Target anymore. It has the like bullseye thing. Yeah, Apple, great example. It's just the Apple, and Microsoft did copy that. There used to be Microsoft stores. I think they only have like a couple now. But yeah, it's just that Windows logo. And even like fast food places are doing it. Like I think Taco Bell might just have the bell now. I know Starbucks just has the siren. Literally, me and my girlfriend were just at Starbucks over the weekend.
It's just a symbol of that like little white girl with the green background.
The siren, yeah. And they had a sign of her in each of the windows that were facing out. And literally, it was so ridiculous. I should have took a picture of it because the signs are like literally right next to each other. But it's because they're facing out different windows. I'm like, look, Megan. They want you to always see that siren, so you know in your brain, Starbucks.
Do you know why? And this is maybe just me being very negative. And
go ahead.
It's like, I wonder if it's because they know that the world's getting stupider, and people can't read as often. Like I should say, the illiteracy numbers I'm sure are growing, so that it's just easier for people to see pictures as opposed to reading Taco Bell or the Apple Store.
That's correct, and I hate it.
And that makes me depressed.
Me too.
We need a tangent.
Okay, now you go. Okay.
I'm sorry, I cut you off. Do you want to finish your thought?
No, it's going to go into the next news article. But do your tangent. Do Tagentcast.
Okay, so it's a Tagentcast. Here we go. So my stepmother is a teacher, high school teacher, and this is not even like recently, like definitely before the pandemic, but even now, because now that everything's online. She has shown me the work that her students are giving her. Again, these are high school students, between the ages of 14 and 18. My God, I cannot even explain to you how poor the grammar and the writing skills for these kids are.
Oh, no.
I'm not even expecting, like, Shakespeare. All I'm saying is, like, just when you read these things and you read it, you sound like you're talking street, for example. Like, it is bad. It is. I can't even describe it. I can't even like come up with like an actual sentence that you would read on these things. But if you can like kind of like picture like what a stereotypically unintelligent person like, or how a stereotypically unintelligent person would speak, that's how you're reading these like articles or like these like the work that these students are giving the teachers. It is terrible. And I'm like, well, this is probably why the big brand companies are starting to realize, well, from a marketing perspective, words are hard to read for these kids. Let's just use pictures. So it gets me mad.
Well,
and I'm sorry, that's just
well, Mike, I have an easy answer for you. You see, in my hand. Well, I mean, you can't see it. I'm holding my phone right now in my hand, and
I see it.
when you just type your buddy, Greg, you can be like, "Yo, what up, dude?" And you can spell that however you want. Like maybe "yo" is "yo," "dude" is "dud." Like text talk, whatever. And you can't do that in a book. I'm such a hypocrite. I haven't read a book in like 6 years. Hello, everyone, again. And it wouldn't be the Level With Me podcast without a few technical difficulties here or there. Turns out my PC just was like, no, you guys aren't doing the podcast tonight. I say no.
But then Corey had to yell and say, yes, computer, yes, we are.
I had to beat it into submission, be like, you're a good computer. You obey me. I built you. I'm your master.
It's true. You are the master.
And then it whimpered in the corner. And it's like, whatever you say, please just stop. I mean, 00110. All right. Trying to drive back on the road. I mean, we're like in a river. There's like sand dunes. I don't even know what country we're in anymore. But yeah, video game news. We have 3 stories here to wrap this up. Then we can kind of maybe finish the podcast. Maybe. PC, mm-hmm. I'm looking at you. Don't do anything funny. No funny business.
Hold out on me, please, PC.
All right. I just thought this was cool. I don't really have a good segue to this story. No Man's Sky Origins update changes the game's entire universe, and it's out today. Hello Games has revealed its latest free update for No Man's Sky Origins. The update will effectively rewrite the entire game universe to add more variation, new planets, and much more, without alternating use-generated content. Origins brings the game to its 3.0 version, and it's out today. Announced on No Man's Sky website, Origins is 2020's biggest update so far and aims to offer a stranger, richer, and more varied universe with deeper planetary diversity, dramatic new terrain, and a host of new creatures, new weather conditions, colossal buildings, and much more. I saw this update, and I actually bought my girlfriend No Man's Sky a while ago because it was heavily discounted. For those of you who aren't aware, No Man's Sky was a very hyped game. It was technically a PS4 exclusive at one point. I think it was a timed exclusive. And the original trailer for this showed this beautiful, vivid living world of all these different species of aliens, animals. There was like a brontosaurus type thing, and it was huge. And everyone expected that, but when the game came out, it just all flopped. And like there was like a couple plants here or there. The creatures were like, oh, we have like 6 different dinosaur or animal heads, and we got like 7 bodies and like 8 legs, and then kind of just used a program to like alternate them on different planets. And it's very weak, and a lot of players were not pleased. But the story behind this is No Man's Sky has just slowly, Hello Games, or is that the name of the studio? Yes. They've just kept working on No Man's Sky. And I mean, I haven't watched any gameplay of this Origins update, but to me, they've effectively turned it into that game that they promised. And I say good on them. They've been putting out a lot of good updates for No Man's Sky from what I've seen. I haven't played the game ever, technically. But this looks great. And I just want to say shout outs to Hello Games. They like kept their promise. Granted, it's like 4 years later at this point, but and they're all free. Like all their updates have been free so far, which is awesome.
I get a lot of flashbacks to something like Fallout 76. Again, a game I feel like was rushed and released when it shouldn't have been. I think this is another example where they just released the game and they're like, we'll just update it along the way. And it's okay. Look, I'm sure they've come a long way. I think it's good that the updates are all free, but it's like it kind of gets me mad where can these people just stop releasing games that are clearly not ready?
I agree. I think it's just a complicated thing with the video games industry nowadays.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
It's very common practice for developers or publishers to put the game out early. Like a month or two ago, a very favorite indie game called Rogue Legacy actually had a sequel come out on Steam, but it's early access. Like there's only like 1.5 levels, and there's even like you get so far and there's like notes like, oh, we're going to be adding more to this as it goes.
Well,
Oh, go
I
ahead.
feel like early access is like that's different. At least you're acknowledging this game is not ready yet. But if you want to just mess around with it, here, go right ahead. You know,
That's true. That's a good
like
point.
Monica was the same way. Like I was playing the game in early access, and technically you couldn't beat the game. It just wasn't ready yet. But it's like
Right.
here for $20,
You expect a full game.
yeah. But the thing is, like they're telling you for $20 here, we are acknowledging the game is not ready yet. But if you want to mess around and see what we're doing with, and tell us about any bugs and tell us your feedback, like that's kind of like a healthy, constructive way of releasing the game, I think, because then you get some feedback from your fans and they can say, oh yeah, we found the bug for you, like who knows. But this is where it's like people are spending like $60 plus on a game that's supposed to be ready, and it's clearly not. That's where I get a little bothered. And the thing is, I know like you said that's common practice, but I feel like it shouldn't be common practice. That should not be the norm. That's my criticism about that kind of stuff.
No, I agree. You're right. I just do want to point out that they did do a good job. A lot of these games generally do eventually get there in the end. Like Fallout 76, I think right now is a pretty good game.
It's come a long way, yeah. I mean, and again, that's great that it got there. I just feel that this is like a bumpy road to go down. I don't like how they are just like, oh yeah, the game's released bad, but then they get good. It's like, yeah, but that's just not good for the fans who spend all that money initially, and then they have to wait for it to get good. That's just not. You know, it's not like to me. It's like if you buy food at a restaurant, well, sir, here's like a quarter of your meal, but we'll get it to you when it's ready. It's like, no, just give me the whole plate when it's ready. You know, even if it takes an extra 10 minutes, I'd rather get the whole plate of food. That's probably a really bad comparison, but that's kind of how that's my little like metaphor. It's a plate of food.
Speaking of bad comparisons, video game creation, it's almost like planting a seed, and you have to tend to your seed and let it grow into a beautiful plant crop. Maybe even you have a bunch of different games that you make, a bunch of plants, and you have a farm, so to say, of video games you're creating.
I really hope you're going somewhere with this.
Like EA or Ubisoft could have a farm. Well, everyone, get your glasses ready and your tissues, because I know you're all going to be very sad. Farmville is shutting down. What's that? No one cares?
You know what's actually really funny? My uncle still plays Farmville. Even on Facebook. Like I guess it's like linked on Facebook. It says how like my uncle like needs more carrots and stuff. I'm like, oh, I guess he still plays Farmville. So there clearly are still some fans out there. Maybe not as many as there used to be, but
I was gonna say, and I hope you were gonna go the same direction I was, but I used to play Farmville. I probably played Farmville for about like a solid 2 or 3 months, and I can't tell you why.
It was definitely a thing where like when I want to say, when did this come out? It was probably like back in like 2008, like when I first went to college.
2008, 2009.
It came out and everyone's playing. Oh, let's come visit my farm. And then I think after like the first day, I'm like, wait, why am I doing this? Like, I don't care about crops. I don't care about gardening. And like, I mean, it's funny. Like this kind of gameplay is something I like, where you can kind of. It's very similar to something like Animal Crossing.
It's very passive.
Yeah, but although I like those kind of games and that kind of gameplay, similar to Animal Crossing, this just did not appeal to me, and I
completely understand. But yes, Farmville is shutting down after 11 years. It came out in 2009. They released a statement following an incredible 11 years since its initial launch back in 2009. We are officially announcing the closure of the original Farmville game on Facebook. As previously stated, Adobe will stop distributing and updating Flash Player for all web browsers, and Facebook will stop supporting Flash games on their platform completely after December 31st, 2020. Farmville will therefore be directly affected as a result of this.
Oh, so that's why. It's like an indirect thing. Okay.
Yeah. There's like other spin-off Farmville games that they mentioned in this article that I never even heard of.
Yeah, like Farmtown and Miningville.
Well, I mean, those are just the copycats. I mean, like, there's Farmville 2, Tropical Escape, Farmville 2, Country Escape, and Farmville 3, which came out apparently last year.
Oh, I can't say I knew that.
Neither did I, and I don't think I'm going to look at that. I'm going to forget that tomorrow, or perhaps in the next 5 minutes.
Yep. And then now let's talk about the better version of Farmville.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So here at the Level With Me podcast, we try to save all the Nintendo news until the end, and we got a little Breath of the Wild, or excuse me, Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity, and the Monster Hunter Rise. But
we couldn't help ourselves.
Yes, but there is one additional little story here to add. There was another thing announced today, but it just had no place with me. But there's going to be a Pokemon something tomorrow about the new DLC, but I could care less. I don't know if you care about that, Mike.
I care enough to hear about it. I'm not going to be like, I guess I'll watch it because I'm curious enough. I mean, I'm not really a big fan of the DLC for new. Is this for the new?
Yeah, I think it's the next expansion because the other one came out already.
Yeah, the Island of Armor. Now it's like the Rural Tundra. I don't remember the exact name.
Yeah,
something like that.
But anyways, Nintendo news: Animal Crossing New Horizons Halloween update details released. Finally. It's happening. I told my girlfriend, I'm like, they're going to go all out with Halloween with pumpkins and scary spooks. And she's like, no, they've never like done that before. And I'm like, yeah, of course they haven't. Animal Crossing has never been how it is nowadays. Like, this is an ongoing active game. And I was beyond myself last week when I saw the trailer of this updated announcement, which will... Let me read the article, explain what it is. Nintendo has detailed the autumn update for Animal Crossing New Horizons, which will include Halloween-themed costumes, character customization options, DIY projects, reactions, and festivities. The free update will land on September 30th and include a whole host of new items and features. On October 31st, a character known as Jack the Halloween Czar will arrive in-game, and players can earn spooky in-game rewards by gifting them lollipops and candy. Festivities will be held in the plaza with Halloween decorations and pranks abound. Players can gift their fellow islanders candy to avoid potential pranks. Throughout October, players will be able to pick up new costumes such as the mummy outfit from Able Sisters, as well as colored eye contacts and body paint, so you can really get into the theatrics of Halloween. You'll also be able to grow pumpkins by picking up a kit from Leaf the Sloth. Once harvested, pumpkins can be put to use in special themed DIY projects. I think, for me personally, that's the most interesting aspect of this update, because I want to say in the middle of the year, people were hearing rumors that there's going to actually be farming coming to Animal Crossing, because there actually is no farming in the game right now. It's all like, oh, the fruit will grow on trees, and you can bury a fruit to grow a tree. Like, that's the closest thing to farming. But now there's literally going to be, like, you tend to your crops of pumpkins, whatever you call them. And they'll grow, and there's like different colors of pumpkins. It's great. I think Animal Crossing New Horizons has been in a like kind of slump, kind of like still. It hasn't like been doing anything crazy. I think the last like few updates were kind of like and like this is exactly what it needed. And I've been seeing a lot of like people excited for this. I'm very excited for this. I love Halloween themed things in video games, so I'm quite excited to get the spoops going.
No, that's very cool. I mean, I love Halloween, so I think like just the Halloween aesthetic would be kind of fun for a game like this. So, sounds pretty fun. And I'm guessing costumes and stuff too. That's kind of cool.
Of course, yeah. One that I thought was really neat is in the trailer. If you pause it when they're at the Able Sisters, which is like the clothing shop, there's like a Tron-looking outfit, which I really dig. But with that being said, that's going to wrap up our news for the week. We are now going to move on to what we have been watching and playing. What do you think, Mike? Do you want me to go first, or should you go first?
I don't remember who went first last week. Was it?
I think you did.
I did. And then, do you want to take the helm and go first?
I'll go first. Why not?
Alrighty.
So in terms of watching, I don't really have too much to talk about. I watched some more episodes of Neon Genesis Evangelion. That show continues to be really good. Really enjoying it.
Yeah, I do want to hear your feedback when the show's over, because I've heard the many mixed reviews about that show.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
I'm looking forward to that.
I haven't really had too much of an issue with it so far. It just It just kind of seems like a good generic anime right now. Like I don't think I've hit the stride where people are like, oh, you're gonna lose your mind. You're for a roller coaster. Like right now, I'm just like, yeah, this is like a good like mecha anime type thing.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I'm digging it. Also, it's weird watching this now because this is going to be very specific, but Shin Godzilla came out a few years ago, and that's actually directed by the guy who made Neon Genesis Evangelion. And just from what I watched from Shin Godzilla, I've seen it a few times. I actually really love it. I can tell that was made by this guy because there's like similar like shots in Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is kind of weird. You know, like you can see the parallels. It's very interesting.
And it's funny because I know like the angels are like giant, kaiju like monsters that are attacking the city. So yeah, some parallels there as well.
Right. Other than that, I also completed the show Ratched with my girlfriend. That was that new Netflix series. I don't think I mentioned this last week, but also very weird. This is a spin-off from the film/book One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. There's like a random like character in there named Nurse Ratched, and this is like that character, like her story or like another story of her. I've never seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Really? Oh, you're missing out.
Well, I put it on the list, so maybe we'll watch that over the week.
Here's a little fun fact. Nurse Ratched is actually, I think at one top point, she was rated in the top 5 greatest movie antagonists of all time.
Oh, awesome.
Like from like I know you might not think it, but like she is supposed to be like a great character, like from like a bad guy, antagonist standpoint.
Well, yeah, from the show Ratched, there's definitely some. This is essentially what me and my girlfriend were talking about around the end of this series, and this isn't really going to spoil anything, but it's kind of like, I think the show does a really interesting job of saying like, hey, none of these characters are just white or black. None of these characters are just good or evil. They all kind of did some messed up things, but they also did some like genuinely good things, and you kind of essentially have to assess the character as you watch them and be like, well, is this character really bad? Like, yeah, they might have killed like a few people here or there, but it's like, have they kind of like atoned for their sins and moved past it and trying to do something better now? I don't know. I really enjoyed the show. I think it ended a little weak personally, but I enjoyed it overall.
Nice.
Other than that, getting to the video games, I didn't really watch too much. I watched like a comedy special on YouTube, which is pretty funny. But yeah, not really anything else. I played some more of that Animal Crossing, tying back to the news article we just read. I want to get back into the swing of playing it, and I've been really enjoying that. It's a very great like game to just unwind and relax to, because like you mentioned, the gameplay is not very, I mean, it's a little active, but it's very much like it's just collecting and talking to villagers, you know. Something that will definitely create controversy in my household over the next week is I actually just, before we start the podcast, I was playing for a little bit, and occasionally your villagers will come up to you and kind of have this like thought bubble, and sometimes they'll just be like, oh, what do you think of this item or this outfit I'm wearing? But then other times they'll be like, hey, I'm kind of sick of this island. I kind of want to go like do something else. Is it okay if I leave? And you can tell them like, oh no, we love you, stay. Or, oh yeah, you can go do your own thing. That's fine. And I actually kicked out one of our original villagers. But me and Megan have talked before a lot that would be a character we're okay with leaving. However, I know Megan is going to be upset that I kicked that character out. But I'm going to say from my perspective, I like stirring the pot a little bit. I like things to get interesting. I like new faces in there. So whenever I see that bubble, I always do question and be like, well, there are like 100 different villagers you can get for your island. Why not just make it a little different and get a new face in town, you know? And like I said, this was a character, like you start with 2 random villagers and it was one of them. So I've had this character since the game came out in March, and you know, it's almost October. But like I said, I may get in a lot of trouble from Megan because of this.
Interesting.
Besides that, I've been playing more Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. That's kind of been my go-to like multiplayer game at this point. Weirdly enough, I've been, I'm a Link main, but I've been like kind of switching up my characters, playing other ones. Not necessarily on board a Link, but I don't know, just like broadening my skill. I don't know. But I've been playing a lot of like Cloud and Dr. Mario. It's been a lot of fun.
Nice. How was Dr. Mario? I always feel like he was like one of the most boring characters because I feel like he was like one of the very last few clones that were still in the game, you know?
I mean, he's kind of still that. He has a few things going on in Ultimate. You know, he's got the actual like tornado move. Now Mario has his flood and as his down B instead of that like tornado, and it's a pretty good move. But overall, like I think he's honestly worse than Mario. I've been honestly even just thinking like maybe I should just play Mario. I just kind of like the idea that he's like a more meteor Mario. Like his hits are always going to usually send you like flying. Like it's mostly about just getting like 1 or 2 hits with him, and they're going to deal a lot of damage. Also, his down air is like a stomp now. It's not like that like down air that Mario and Luigi had in like Melee. That was like that little spin. And it can spike pretty easily. Other than that, though, and I think his like his cape is slightly different than Mario's, and his pills have different properties than the like fireballs of Mario. Oh, and he has a different he has a different back throw, but I think it's kind of like Mario's. Like it's like a kill move, like really strong, but it has like a different animation. Like Dr. Mario almost like picks you up over his shoulders and like tosses you behind him instead of the spin. But he's pretty.
I guess it's just more so. It's like, why is he not admitted to be an Echo Fighter?
Yeah, they're kind of trying to differentiate him, but I agree. Like as I play him, I'm like, oh, they could really like make this character really unique, or play more about like the puzzle aspect. Like they could even add like the germs, like or the viruses. Yeah. Like they could really make him special if they wanted to. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with that. Also, multiplayer games. I guess I'm kind of lying, but. I wanted to dip back into Call of Duty Warzone, and like I mentioned, I've been having PC problems, so I can't really play on my computer. So I ended up downloading it on my PS4, and I that's where I decided to play it on. And something that's great about most of these like Battle Royale crossplay games is, you know, they all sync up everywhere. So basically everything I locked on my PC version, it's all there. It's just my account is on the PS4. The only thing that's different is now I have to get used to playing with a controller because I use mouse and keyboard for most of my first-person shooters. And it's a little awkward. I played like 3 matches, and I was like, I personally right now, I don't feel like learning how to play on controller, so I'm just going to not play this right now. I have been thinking about going back to it, and I know there even is a way to connect a mouse and keyboard to your PS4 if I really wanted to just play it on there to make sure it works. It does look nice on the PS4. I'm not like a very graphic snob. Like, it runs better on my PC. It's 60 frames. That is important, but I don't mind it. I can play on the PS4 just fine.
PC Master Race.
Yeah. But other than that, let's get on to some new stuff. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, I did turn on that Super Mario 3D All-Stars, and I started my Let's Play of it. But it's a work in progress. It's coming along. But I played about 2 hours of Super Mario 64.
Mm-hmm.
So I said right up front in the Let's Play that I've never played this game. But I'm going to be honest, when I started playing it, it really was coming back to me. So I must have got kind of deep in the DS version, or maybe I must have played this a little bit at some point, because I honestly started really remembering a lot of the things about each of the levels.
Maybe in a past life you played this game,
or maybe through like osmosis, like I was watching someone play it on Twitch, like a speed run or a game's done quick. I don't know, but like literally when I started playing it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember where all the like stars are and all the coins, and like I just remembered a lot about all the levels. That being said, though, really enjoying it. Super Mario 64, hell of a game. I think it holds up pretty well. The one thing I would complain about, and I mean, this could just be about all the Mario games, so it might not really be a complaint, but Mario is sometimes a little like finicky and slippery. Like sometimes I feel like my jumps aren't as precise, and I will say the camera is a little awkward in the version on the Switch. I mean, I don't know if that's just how it was normally, but it's a little hard to control at some points. But granted, it is a game from like 1996 or 99, whenever it came out.
The camera was always a little bit finicky. I mean, it was like the first of its kind trying out the whole 3D camera thing.
Yeah. But that being said, it does run really well, the port. I also didn't realize that it's not like a full screen port. It's just like a remastered. So it is like the 8:4 or whatever it's not like a widescreen aspect ratio, which I didn't realize. I
thought it was widescreen support. I thought that was in the...
not for me. Unless I just didn't turn that on, or I don't know.
I could have swore they. I mean, maybe I'm misremembering, and the subscribers can inform me if I'm wrong or not. But didn't they mention that in like the Nintendo Direct that there is going to be widescreen?
I thought so. I mean, I played in there with a black bar, so I don't know.
Huh? Interesting. I'll have to look. I mean, I still haven't gotten the game yet. I'll have to look into it when I play it.
I will say this. I absolutely love how this game gives Mario a dedicated like attack button. Like he pretty much does his Smash Bros like 3-hit combo, and I love that.
The punch kick. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I never realized this, and everyone can throw shame on me, but after playing Super Mario Odyssey and then going to Super Mario 64, I'm like, oh, this was what Mario could do all along. He has that full moveset of all his different types of jumps and stuff like that. I must have just never knew you could do that
the backflips and everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like the long jump, like if you press crouch right before you jump, or like all those techniques. Like I just never did any of them when I initially played this game, whenever I did or whatever. I don't remember that part, but yeah, I was just like, oh, this game, it controls great because Odyssey controls great, And it's fun going through all the different worlds. I mean, this might be just a criticism about the game overall, but it's also just because it's like the first of its kind, like you were mentioning. It is annoying how when you go into a level and you get 1 star, it does have to just pop you out.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things, the biggest fault I have with a game like that.
Yeah, like it's nice in like Odyssey. I don't know how Super Mario Sunshine does it, but like
same thing.
Okay, well, Odyssey I guess is the first of its kind with the multiple moons, because even in Galaxy is like levels that you go and get the star and then you go back.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's a little annoying because sometimes you'll get sidetracked and you'll be like, oh, I just found this star out of this thing, and it's like, yeah, it pops you back. And Mike, I could have swore that I was playing a level and I got 1 star and I popped out, and then it didn't give me that star. Can you only get the star that you're doing the quest for?
No, you can get any star.
Okay, well, that was weird then.
You might be confused because, like, let's say there is like a linear set of stars. There's 6 stars per level, not including the 100 coin star. So let's say the very first level of the game is the Bob-omb battlefield. You have to go up and fight King Bob-omb. So let's say you were to go and do another. I'm pretty sure you can get the.
You do the red coin or the change
red coin.
One.
Get perfect examples. I'm pretty sure if you do that, you'll get that star. You get booted out. If you hop back in there, the star should be highlighted for the star that you've received. It should be on there.
Okay. Because I can explain to you exactly what happened. I just remembered it. So I was in. I don't remember the name of the level. You can help me with that. It's the kind of like underground one where you get the metal cap.
Oh, the hazy maze or whatever it's called. Yeah, but I think I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and when you get that metal cap, there's like a bunch of red coins on your path, and I got them all, and then the star popped out right around where the metal cap was, and then when I picked it up, it booted me out, but I didn't get the star, and there was another quest for getting red coins, and I'm like, oh, there are different red coins. There's like a bunch of different red coins.
Oh, okay, so I know what's going on. Yeah, so in the hazy maze cave area, there's a red coin star, right?
Yeah.
Now, in the hazy maze cave is where you get the metal cap. It's like a little bonus area with like that green switch.
Right.
Just like in Super Mario World. So that's a separate red coin star.
Oh, okay. All right. All right, I get it now. Okay. Gotcha.
Yep. That's I think that's considered to be one of the
castles. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the castle's hidden stars. That's what that's considered to be.
Yeah, oh my gosh, once I start getting that Let's Play recorded or edited, you'll see that I just was like failing so hard on that the invisibility cap or whatever it's called, like the one that makes you like transparent.
Oh yeah, that little like bonus area is pretty tough.
Dude, I'm gonna spoil this for everyone, even though I played it, but Literally, I did the run. The first try, I got to the end, and my stupid butt just walked off the ledge in the wrong way and didn't grab the star like in the crate right at the end.
Oh yeah, there's a hole in there. There's a hole in that.
Yeah, well, you can just walk off because you got the transparent thing.
Oh,
I
yeah,
just walked off because, I guess I was holding the stick wrong, or it was my fault. I'm not blaming the game, but I'm just like, no. And then, like, literally, I spent like a half an hour and I couldn't get it again. I'm like, I'll just do this off camera if I want to get it.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was right there, and I just squandered it.
Yeah. Little side thing, one of the biggest complaints about the game is, again, the controls are, it's finicky. The first time ever incorporating that little analog stick, and there are times where Mario might there's even times where he'll make like a perfect 180, just turn around if you want him to go backwards.
My God.
Or he'll do like a big like a big circle and just walk in like a big arc, and then he'll just walk off an edge sometimes. It's really inconsistent. I'm not sure what the deal is.
Yeah, Mike, no, I was going to say, you know what I've been having the most trouble with, though? Reading the signs. I can never align myself up, and I'll just jump over it, or even worse, Mario will just jump on the sign and grab it like a ledge and then just stand on it and fall off, and I'm like, oh, I just want to know what this says.
That was funny.
But yeah, overall, that game's great. I also never realized as a kid, but like, I think it's really cool that each of the different like painting worlds actually kind of represents the like normal Mario trope levels. Like, you have your like the plains, then there's like the lava one, and there's like an ice level, and that hazy caves or whatever is like the underworld like level. Like, it's all like the standard like Mario, like the 8 different worlds. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. I never actually picked up on that initially.
Yeah, it's true. And there are some levels that are like completely original, which are really
like
cool.
Like the Thwomp, that one's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Overall, very enjoying that game. It's a hell of a game. It's a classic.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that.
I can't really think of anything else, so I'm just going to go to my last game here. This one is a little bit of a story behind it. So I started playing this game called Fury Unleashed. This is a like eShop title. It's probably on Steam too. So I had this on my wish list. Generally, if I'm on the eShop and I see something that piques my interest, I'll just pop it on the wish list, and if I ever see it discounted, I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna pick this up at this point. And it was half off, and I had accumulated a good amount of those Nintendo like coins that you get from just buying eShop titles, or even buying physical games. You can get like 60 or essentially like 10 points per dollar, or 1 point per dollar value. So I was like, oh, I want to get this game. It looks interesting. It looks interesting enough. This game is essentially a side-scrolling platformer shooter, kind of similar to Contra, I would say. The graphics are not the best. It's it kind of actually resembles like a Flash game. Like we were talking about the Flash games before not being supported, but it's kind of like this. It's going for like a comic book type aesthetic, but I'm not really seeing that. It's more like a military comic book. Don't think like superheroes. But I don't know. Like I thought I liked the visual style, but it's okay. I don't know. It reminds me of a game I used to play in middle school. But the general gameplay of it is, like I said, it's like comic book theme. So you can create your little character. You're not really making a class or anything. It's all like just cosmetics. And you take your little guy or woman into the comic book, and you essentially go from a big map, which is a bunch of different like panels in the comic book, and each of the different rooms is all procedurally generated and random. It's essentially a roguelike. So you have to go from page to page, and each of the different rooms can have different like shops or vendors or chests with different pieces of armor and different guns and stuff like that. It's essentially almost like a twin stick shooter, because you use the one stick to move around and use the other stick to just essentially aim and shoot. And I don't know how I feel about this game. It's definitely like the most like okay game I've played in a while. I'm kind of having like, I want to keep playing it because I'd like to actually beat it. It's actually very hard. There's like projectile, like there's these like skull heads that are always shooting out little projectiles all around the room that aren't enemies. They're just like things you have to dodge. There's always like a bunch of like spikes or like saws on the wall. And I feel like that's like the biggest issue with the game is that it's just like a little too hard. And the enemies like are always shooting a bunch of projectiles. Like it's kind of almost like a bullet hell in that regards. And you're not just doing platforming stuff. You have like a double jump and you have like a little dodge. You can also like sprint around. Like I said, you get different pieces of armor which do help you take some of your damage. And eventually, the main thing with this game is that every time you play, and it's like a roguelike, so you're going to die a lot, but each run you are collecting ink because, again, it's like a comic book aesthetic. So some ink is just like a black generic ink, which you use to essentially build your character. Once you die, you can go to like this big skill tree, and it's like, oh, you want to just increase your overall health, or do you want to increase how many health orbs enemies might drop, or do you want to increase this or that? So you're kind of just building a better character. And then there's also just, like I said, health orbs you'll pick up occasionally. There's gold orbs, which you can use to buy stuff in the level. They don't come with you. And then sometimes you'll get like little potions, which will give you like different elemental damage types on your gun, or they'll be like to refill your grenades. You also, besides your weapons and movement, you have a grenade that you can get. And, well, you start with a grenade, but you can get different types of grenades. And then you also have like an ability you can get, which the one you start with freezes all the enemies for a certain amount of time. But I found a turret that I can throw that'll like do a bunch of damage. I found like a little drone that'll follow me around and eventually like explode. I found like there's a bunch of different ones like that. And like I said, this is I don't want to like hate on this game too much, but it's just like very okay. I think it just, the look is like the gameplay's fine. I just think it's a little too hard. But I would like to try to actually get through like proper beat a level, because I do kind of like the gimmick of it being this comic thing, because it's basically like, oh, here's a selection of different comic books, but I'm still in the first one because I haven't been able to beat it. But once I beat it, I assume I can go to the next book or the next book, and there'll probably be more varied stuff, I would think. Speaking of that, though, another thing that just bothers me is like all the enemies, like I feel like they don't really change up the look of them too much. Like it's almost like, oh, we just made the green skull red and maybe added a few spikes onto him. And, you know, maybe he shoots like an extra projectile, but he's like kind of just an upgraded version of the same thing, which I don't know. I don't really love. Also, you can get very confused when you pick up different weapons. The weapons, it's actually kind of almost like Borderlands, where you'll find, like, you can pick what weapon you want to start with. So let's say I just have an SMG. Well, you can find another SMG while you're playing, but the SMG might be stronger, might have like some sort of modification on it, like maybe it shoots quicker or something like that. So sometimes you can get really confused in that because they don't look that differently either. Like they'll change like one little piece on the gun, so you're like, wait, is this better? So I don't know. I played a decent amount of this game. I don't know why, but I'm probably gonna play more because it's kind of fun, but it's also like kind of
Interesting. I mean, yeah, roguelikes can be like that. Like it's kind of like that. I think it's more so just that challenge is what's kind of fun about it. Even though it seems like you said, like the game doesn't seem very polished, but I don't know. Is that maybe that's not the point of the game? It's
maybe.
Just more like it's just the gameplay itself.
Also, it's like, I don't know, like, you know, the game doesn't cost that much to begin with, so it's like maybe I should put that into my mindset when reviewing it.
Yeah, you gotta think like, oh, the game's just cheap and for fun. Like, if you didn't get the best experience out of it, it's like, well, I didn't pay a lot, you know.
Yeah, but other than that, that's pretty much all I've been doing. Mike, what'd you do with your week?
Well, unfortunately, I don't really have much to talk about this week. Again, it's just been very busy for me. So as far as what I've been watching, definitely all I've been doing is watching more of that show Below Deck again.
Below Deck.
This is the Mediterranean part of the show. This is where new captain, all new crew members, and as opposed to them being in the Caribbean or the Pacific, now they're in the Mediterranean. And man, some of the drama's pretty. One of the best things I've seen is I've never seen this happen before, where one of the Well, no, we had seen before, but one of the chefs got fired because apparently, now you have to understand, like on these cruises or these yachts, excuse me, like people spend like a lot of money to be on these, like hundreds of thousands of dollars to go on these yachts. Again, these are all the people who go on these yachts are millionaires, so they're expecting 5-star service. That's just the standard, Like you were treated like a king and a queen on these yachts. And that also includes the food. So the chefs that they hire have to be like world-renowned chefs or like 5-star chefs. Like whatever you want, they will cook it and they will like blow your mind with how good the food is, right? At least that's what you would expect from that.
I'll take 3 meatball pizzas.
And they're going to be the best damn meatball pizzas you ever had in your entire life. But
I'll be the judge of that.
Me too. You know, both that'll be one of our things we'll do on Level With Me. We'll have people submit to us in the mail their meatball pizzas.
That would actually be great. I wish we lived somewhat closer. Like we could just order meatball pizzas from pizzerias and be like, yeah, the one from Tony's was better than this one.
We'll definitely have to put that on the to-do list. Okay, we'll do that. But anyway, so there have been some bad chefs on here where like, oh, they just don't work out. But like, this is actually a chef, and I kind of felt bad for this one chef because they had a very impressive resume, but then only on the very first episode, they just did not perform. Like the food was apparently just bad. Like, I mean, I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, apparently the guests aren't enjoying the food. That's not good. And then the one dinner she made tacos. Now this is the thing. I love tacos, so I would have no problem. But these people were like, like expecting like a Mediterranean cuisine, like because these guys are off of the shores of like Italy and Greece and all these other in France. So you think like, okay, like if let's say on their preference sheet, because I think I mentioned before, like they give you preference sheets of what they like, and this is basically what they're going to get cooked for them. Like they mentioned how they like Mexican cuisines, but like that's like okay, like there's Mexican cuisines and then there's tacos. Like it's one thing if they made like I'm sorry, the chef is actually a woman. If she made like an amazing Mexican, like I can't even think of the word, like an amazing spread with like good burritos and stuff like that, like with mole sauce, like okay, but these are literally like tacos where she put the hard shells on a plate and just put taco meat in them.
Oh my god.
And I'm thinking like, look, again, I'm sure they're good, but it's like that's not what these people are paying for, And I think she mentioned, oh, this is just like the appetizer, which okay, that's more acceptable. But like even the captain that walked in and she's like, wait, that's not for the guests, is it? She's like, well, yeah, why not? And she's like because they're tacos. Anyway, and then I think the actual entree was like steak or something, so that was better. And then there were a couple other instances where like she had to make seafood and it was just not good. And then she had to make a birthday cake, and apparently the birthday cake was it tasted like baking soda. Like it was the crew members were like sampling it and like, oh my gosh, like this is the strongest cake you've ever had. Like it just tastes like baking soda. And then when the chef tried it, she's like, it's not that strong. I'm like, that's not the point. Like, it's the point that if it tastes anything like baking soda, it's not a good cake. Like, and they said like, no, we're not serving this. This is ridiculous. And then this is where it really got funny because then the next morning she was making breakfast for everybody, and she was making pancakes, which are fine, but the pancakes looked like ridiculous. They looked like McDonald's pancakes. Like small and like crappy. Like they weren't like real wholesome pancakes that you make when you make your own batter. And they said like what are you doing? And she pulled out an Aunt Jemima box, and it's like, you're making Aunt Jemima pancakes? You're a chef. Why can't you make your own pancakes? It's like make some pumpkin spice pancakes. Like dazzle. I don't know. They dazzle these people. Like make them think, man, these are the best darn pancakes I've ever had. But no, she's using Aunt Jemima like powder. It's like, oh, it was so. I was laughing like this is a bad chef, and I feel bad if she's listening to this podcast, which I know she is because this is the greatest #1 video game podcast of all time. But I'm sorry, like that, like, it just it was not working out for her, and she actually was fired. But that was like pretty juicy. I couldn't believe that they even. I can't believe because the captain was embarrassed because like I hired this woman. You know, her resume was impressive, but like she is just not living up to the expectations that we have for her. So, oof, that was funny.
You think I could get that job? I'm a pretty good cook.
Yeah, you are. You know, Corey, maybe you can go apply to be a yacht chef. Make some pretty good money.
I'll send my papers.
There you go. Let's see. So yeah, I've been watching that a lot. I think I mentioned how I did finish. What show did I want to watch? Oh, so here's a show I do want to watch. Have you heard of the show called The Boys?
Oh yes, I also want to watch that.
Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned that before, but that's on my to-do list for watching ththings. So Amanda and I might watch that pretty soon because we both want to watch this. And look, unfortunately, that's all I really have for what I watched this week. Haven't watched any. I unfortunately have not watched any new movies, TV shows, animes, cartoons. You know, just haven't really had the time for that. What I've been playing this week, I did actually finally finish Sonic CD, and if you guys want to go take a look at the Let's Play, it's all uploaded. The playlist has been updated, and my final thoughts were the game was actually very good. It's definitely not my favorite of the classic Sonic games. I would definitely have to rank it higher than Sonic 1. Because as amazing as I like Sonic 1, I do admit that Sonic CD was an improvement upon Sonic 1. Like, it not only were the visuals better, and I think the level design was... I wouldn't say that the level design was better, but like it was definitely different, and they expanded upon like what the original game had. There was more levels, for one, which is nice. I'm sure I mentioned before that this game has a lot of exploration involved with time traveling and trying to like find these robot generators to get like the 100% good ending. Which again, maybe I'll say that for a second Let's Play. But I think because they added all this, it actually made the game a lot of fun. I kind of liked going on the hunt for these machines. And in the end, I actually thought that the last couple boss battles weren't the best, but I did enjoy how the one boss battle is one of the most infamous parts of the game. Is that the boss battle before you get to the final level is actually a race against Metal Sonic, and it's one of the most iconic parts of the game. Like not just the fact that this game has Metal Sonic and introduced him, but like the boss battle is you are being chased by Robotnik, and it's like a one-hit death if he catches you. But while you're running from him, you're racing Metal Sonic, and you have to beat him to the goal to basically beat the boss. And I died a couple of times. Yeah, it was kind of fun because like Metal Sonic is, you know, for the most part just as fast as you, but he can like break through obstacles, and he kind of makes like a little. He has like an electric attack, so that way if you were touching him, he'll hurt you. So you got to do your best to jump over obstacles, avoid him, and don't slow down too much. Because obviously, if you slow down a little bit, you can probably catch up to him. But then if Robotnik catches you, he has like this like one-hit knockout beam that just like kills you. And but yeah, that was a cool little boss battle that really made up for the horrible level design of that level, Stardust Speedway. I think I mentioned in the video that I love the soundtrack for Sonic CD, especially Stardust Speedway soundtrack. Like it's great, but man, the level design just makes me want to vomit. Like you can't even tell what's in the foreground or the background. It's pretty bad. Yikes. And then well, I'm sorry, what was that?
I just said yikes.
Yeah, yeah, like just kind of sum it up again. Like the visuals are really cool. Again, it has a great level like theme and music, but like you can't tell like when like these like there's like inclines and hills and like level. It basically everything looks like you have to look it up yourself. But Stardust Speedway looks like you're in a city where like all these like roadways and cityscapes are built out of like brass like instruments. Everything looks like it's like made of like tubophones and saxophones and everything. Yeah, but again, the level is not the best. I only like it because I like the visuals and I like the music. That's basically it, and it has a good boss battle. Then I wrapped up the Let's Play with the final level, which is basically like the Robotnik's base, whatever. And I have to admit, like pretty difficult. Like there was definitely a good difficulty spike in this level, and I was happy because this being the very first time I was playing the level, I knew a lot about this game, but I didn't know that when you get to the final act, which in this game there's 3 acts per level, and the third act's usually the boss stage. But there's still like a little bit of platforming before you get to the fight, before you get to the boss. There is actually a giant bottomless pit in the very final level of the game, and I found this out later after I was editing and looking stuff up, because apparently I never hit this bottomless pit, and I'm lucky because people say that's like the worst part of that level. I think I died like to other things, but I I think I did die once in the bottomless pit, but then I realized like, wait a minute, oh, my puppy just came in. Hey,
arf.
Hey, Leo.
Does he have anything to contribute?
Leo, you have anything to say?
He says, "Boof."
He said, "Boof."
He has fun. We'll see you in a few minutes, guys.
Oh gosh, I love him. He's the best. But so yeah, I was saying about so I think it's called Mechanical Madness is the name of the level, and yeah, there's a giant bottomless pit that I think I only died in once, but I didn't realize that's the only bottomless pit in the entire game. And it's funny because Sonic games have bottomless pits in them. Like, it just I never realized that that's the only one in all of Sonic CD. And it usually gives people hell, but I only died once. Lucky for me, because I am such a bad player. I died to everything else. And oh yeah, Corey just shared a picture of.
It's just some cool art. I don't know where it came from, but
but that's basically a little like cool little piece of art of like Sonic doing his little like figure 8, running animation, and that's definitely Stardust Speedway. Like again, I love the aesthetic of the level. It looks cool, but when you play the level, it's a nightmare. But anyway, in the end, and the final boss was pretty easy. I beat him in one try. It was overall it was still really fun, and I definitely want to play the game again. Again, like many of the classic Sonic games, I would love to play it again. I definitely want to try to go for the with the good ending, and if you guys want to check it out, it's up on our YouTube on Level With Me. You'll see it there. And the other game I just started replaying again, and it's funny because I was getting ready to start playing a couple things. Like I mentioned how I wanted to play The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap. It basically just kind of like played on my own. I don't think I was going to do a Let's Play for our channel,
right?
But I've just been on a real big Zelda kick recently. Like just getting into like delving into lore and like in like my spare time, just doing some wiki searches on Zelda stuff to learn the story. And again, I was getting ready to do the Minish Cap, but then before I knew it, I found myself replaying Ocarina of Time. So I've been playing that. So I've been playing that for the last couple of days. And
what a irony! I'm playing Mario 64. You're playing Ocarina of Time.
I know. We're playing some old school stuff, and I have to admit, like the very first time I played Ocarina of Time, again, and before I go any further, I'll mention I was one of those people who just never played Ocarina of Time when it first came out. Again, my parents just didn't get it for me, so I just really didn't know much about Zelda. And then it's something that I regret, but what are you gonna do? So I played it much later in my life, and I had to say that I enjoyed the game. I thought it was fun. I saw the appeal that everyone else saw when they were younger. But then going back and replaying it again, and now knowing where I'm going, I have to admit that initially I felt that that definitely is a game where you can get lost very easily and not realize what you have to do. The game does not hold your hand at all. So I can see this game being really tough for first time players.
Well, didn't you mention that about the Link to the Past?
Yeah, Link to the Past. I was having some trouble too.
Even the original Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda, the NES one. It's very vague.
Oh, yeah, well, the original Legend of Zelda, forget about it. That game is just... The fact that game gives you a map, and the map is just a giant gray box, and you're the little white box, it's really... That just shows where you are in the world, but it's not really a map.
You better have enough money to call that Nintendo hotline.
True. Oh man, but Link to the Past at least had a good map because the map had little icons that showed you where. Well, not only was the map just good, it showed you where you are in the world. Yeah, it actually had landscapes and it showed you. It was a very good map, and it gave you icons saying "Go here for a temple." So that at least it had that for the map. But Ocarina of Time is much more vague. I mean, you have the owl who kind of gives you little hints and clues, and you have Navi that gives you little hints and clues, but for the most part, I found myself getting kind of confused. I'm not sure how familiar you are with Ocarina of Time, but I know I didn't know where to go when I wanted to get into the second dungeon, which was the Dodongo's Cavern. Because I'm at the Goron City, and I'm like, okay, the guy's telling me to go talk to like the Goron chief or whatever. So I played the music from the ocarina. I got in to see him, and he's like, "Oh, I want to dance." I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm playing you all these songs," and he's like, "Oh, I don't like that." I'm like, "Well, what other songs? I don't know any of those songs." And so then eventually it came to me like how he wants like I forget what he said. He said, "Oh, I wish I had like a whimsical forest theme," and I'm like, "What?" Like, do I have to really to go back all the way to the forest? And of course I did. And I didn't know where to find like my one friend Saria. It's like, my God, this game is just. I mean, like people complain about backtracking like Metroid games. Like this game is backtracking. Like I mean, it's funny. Like, I'm playing this again. I'm like, my God, you backtrack all the time in this game, and you don't. And early in the game there is no fast travel, so you're just well, basically what you're doing is you're doing a little sidestep with Link, like the hot, just to get across the field faster.
Love it.
and then I had the same problem with the third temple or the third dungeon, because I didn't realize that the king, the Zora king, is like, oh, my daughter's missing. I'm like, okay, well, I'm here to find her. Just let me get past you, and he won't. And I didn't realize like there was you have to go. You have apparently you have to go over to the lake, but you can't get to the lake because it's like walled off or something. So I didn't realize that there was like a hidden door somewhere in the Zora's like domain that led you to the lake. Like it was just, oh gosh, man, this game had plenty of moments for someone like me who's very stupid. I was having a hard time trying to get through it, but again, with this being like my second a new Let's Play playing the game again. I remember where a lot of things were, and it definitely is. It's actually been so much more enjoyable now that I know where I'm going, and it made me realize that probably back when the game first came out, people who did their second Let's Play probably just adored. I'm sure they loved the game initially, but on their second Let's Play where they're not as lost, I bet they think, my God, this game is incredible. Because I'm starting to get like little like glimpse of that. I'm just like, man, this game really is something else. Like, for being like, again, the first big open Zelda game, like 3D, and like just the scope of the game, the gameplay, that like it's fun going through the dungeons and fighting the bosses,
Yeah. And it is pretty immersive too, like when you use the like boomerang, or not the boomerang, the bow or the slingshot, how it does like the first person. Like I thought that was neat.
Yeah, I agree. Like and even just again, like I'm sure, like I've said before, I'm a big fan of video game soundtracks, and then
yes,
I really have to admit, like replay this game, like the dungeon music for all these dungeons. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Like I actually just recently completed the Forest Temple, and I remember this being a pain in the ass when I first played it, and I'm like, my God, like this place is just so confusing, and it's only confusing until I realize it's just this one room I have to go into, but I just don't realize it, so I'm just wandering this temple. And I also just realized, like, man, like the music for this temple is creepy, but it's great. Like I just love it. And so yeah, right now I'm working on going to the next temple, which I think is the Fire Temple. And I'm sure I'll give you guys an update on that next week. But I've been really enjoying this second playthrough of the game.
I don't mean to interrupt here, but all I'm gonna say is, hey Nintendo, if you're listening, maybe you should do the same thing that you did with Mario 64, and put it on the Switch. Put Ocarina of Time on the Switch. Okay, thank you.
Can you imagine them doing Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time?
That'd be great.
It'd be great.
They could even sell it for $60 and everyone would be mad, but they'd still buy it.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like one of those shut up and take my money scenarios, But yeah, I do agree. People would buy that. They would eat it up. But yeah, really so that's
cool.
what
I'm glad you're playing that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Again, I'm really enjoying this second playthrough of it. It's awesome, and I'm hoping to finally get to Minish Cap. But that's a brand new game that I want to play.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, Mike. We had some technical difficulties. We're running a little late here, but before we go, it is important to check if there are any questions from our valued listeners. And I checked the email, that is levelwithmepodcast@gmail.com, and unfortunately it's empty. What about the Instagram?
We actually have 2 questions this week.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So one is actually from our good old friend Owen Reese. God bless this man. He is Owen is the best person
I
ever.
feel like we gotta give him like a nick. We should come up with like a nickname for him.
Next week we'll have something ready for him.
We'll figure it out.
We actually have another question by Mostly Retro Gaming.
Okay.
Yeah, and I feel like we'll go with his question first. It might require the most thought. So his question is, what do we think about the Oculus Quest 2? So I'm not sure if you know what that is, but I had to do a little bit of research. It's basically, I guess, the next version of Oculus Rift, I think. Like, it's like the virtual reality headset. So, unfortunately, I didn't really have much of an opinion on this because I just don't really know much about it. Do you know anything about Oculus Quest 2?
I mean, I've definitely heard of it. I'm not too familiar with VR headsets, honestly, either.
I'm the same way. I mean, I guess if you want, we can probably just say, like, what are our thoughts on VR in general? That might be the best way we can probably answer it.
I mean, I feel like this one's a little sticky because I'm pretty sure Oculus is now owned by Facebook. So I don't know how y'all feel about that, but that could be a little dicey. But I've heard good things about the Quest. The Quest is like the standalone headset. Like, you don't need to like hook it up to anything, which is really cool. And I've heard good things about the original model, so I assume this is just an improved version of that. And I'm on the official website of it. Like I said, all I've heard about it is it's coming out, but I really didn't look too into it because I don't want to say I don't care about VR, but that's not really, I don't know. I just don't really have an interest in it. But what I'm looking at, it looks really cool. I will say I think VR has come a long way. I think there are a lot of great games out there, and people are still developing great games for them. I'm excited to see that this genre of gaming, or whatever you call it, is still growing.
Yeah, I agree. I'm definitely probably in the same boat as you. Like, I think VR is definitely like the future. It's just, we're still not there yet, but I think the Oculus has a lot of potential because, there have been a lot of really immersive games that are immersive because it's in VR. And I think it's kind of cool how that headset responds to the motion of your head. Like, it's pretty neat. I definitely would love to try one day. And there were actually some really good horror games that utilized the Oculus.
And like I said, like how the Quest is like an all-in-one thing, this is a very good like entry-level VR headset because you literally don't even need like a PC that's able to run the things. Everything runs in the headset, which is really convenient. And it's only $300 or US dollars, I should say, which is actually really affordable. Yeah. So honestly, this thing is probably going to do incredibly well.
Yeah, I would agree.
That's really all I got to say about it. Thank you, Mostly Retro Gaming. That was a good question. Yeah, well, definitely we will definitely include you down below in case you guys want to check out his channel or his Instagram. Excuse me. Yeah, that's a Mostly Retro Gaming. That's all one word. All right. So thank you very much for your question. What's Owen got for us? Hey, not just one, but two cuts this time, folks. My PC loves to keep dying on me. It's like a game in real life. You know what I'm saying? I never know what's going to happen next. But yes, we are still doing our questions for the week. And our good buddy Owen Reese has sent us in yet another question. Mike, what'd he send us? Once again, Owen, thank you very much for your question. It's actually a really good one, too. It is, what is our favorite type of game? And he gives an example, as in like an RPG or a first-person shooter, like those kind of genres. Yeah, I was going to say the genre, if you will. Yeah. So that's actually it's a really simple but good question. Do you have an answer for this, Corey? Yeah, I'll go first. Okay, because I might need to think about mine. I have two that come to mind, but the one with a bullet, number one, is action RPG. I really like modern Zelda games and Dark Souls type games, and even like Kingdom Hearts is kind of an action-y RPG. Those are always really, really good. We were talking about like a couple weeks ago about like gameplay or story, and I feel like action RPGs, you generally always get the best of both worlds there. There's usually a very good story and a very fun gameplay. It's a game-to-game basis, though. But anyways, yeah, I'm just always drawn to those type of games. I love just the aspect of usually having different types of weapons and being able to change up your character. And I also just enjoy like most of the action RPG games have like some sort of open world. So that's usually my go-to. If I would have to have an honorable mention or number 2, I would say first-person shooter. And I was actually thinking about this today because that one's kind of it's interesting because, you know, obviously there's multiplayer games like Call of Duty or Halo or something like that. Well, Halo's actually more interesting, and I guess Call of Duty because they do have like the single player aspects besides the multiplayer. But then there's games like Portal or The Witness that are like first-person puzzle games. So there's not actually any action in them, you know. You're just literally like trying to figure out how you get from one room to the other or progress in the game. And I mean, even like Skyrim or Fallout, like those are RPGs, and you can put them in third person, but generally people play in first person. So there's kind of a wide net of games that kind of cover that. And I'm going to be quite honest, I honestly play all different types of them. I just like that immersive aspect. Also, weirdly enough, I always like looking at the different like weapons. I don't own any like guns, but I always enjoy like looking at the guns and being like, ooh, that gun looks cool. I like guns. Guns are neat. But yeah, I guess that's my answer. I'd say action RPG with first-person shooter as an honorable mention.
Well, that's pretty good. Yeah, I was actually thinking that's probably mine's like a toss-up because I was gonna say mine might be like the action RPG, kind of like, or I think of them as like first-person exploration games, kind of like I guess. Not so much games like Kingdom Hearts where it's like you mash the button. That's kind of like where it's like an RPG, but it's not like a turn-based RPG. It's more, like, as you said, like action-based, like real time. But I've always been a fan of the real big open exploration games because they also do have the first-person shooter like aspect, like the Fallout games, the Elder Scroll games. How they have like the first-person shooter aspect, even something like the like as you mentioned, the newer Zelda games like Breath of the Wild. I just love how that, like how open the game is and how it can be everything from exploring to then combat. You get some first-person aspect with like the bow and arrow and everything. So, like that's right there. But man, I still might have to fall back on my roots and go back to the 2D platformer. I know that's like a very simplified game compared to like modern games nowadays. Like, you know, it's not like nowadays it seems like the 2D platformers are like the indie games that you see, you know, like Ori and the Blind Forest or Hollow Knight,
even like Cuphead or something.
Yeah, and another great example. But man, like, but they're the games I grew up on, so I just feel like I just love them so much.
You kind of ease into it.
Yep, it's simple, but the gameplay can be so good, and I have to say, like, you know, if you take a look at some of these like more modern indie games, like the Ori series, my God, like the visuals are just incredible. Like it's kind of like you forget you're playing a 2D game, you know, with these amazing, like, you know, like the amazing backgrounds. And another great example I would say is like the Donkey Kong Country games that came out for the Wii and the Wii U, the Country Returns games. Like, to me, they're some of the best 2D platformers I ever played in my entire life, and I think a lot of people also agree with that statement, you know. And so yeah, I would have to say like, although I love like again like those like not third person, the like first person exploration games, kind of like I guess they might kind of border close to what you're saying with the action RPGs. But yeah, definitely I still have to give it to the 2D platformer because, you know, it's not just like Super Mario Brothers for the NES, you know, like that is a 2D platformer, but like I can name countless other ones that are just so good, and they are some of my favorite games of all time, like every single one of them, you know.
Oh yeah. And I agree. It is like a very like comfort foodie genre. And it's also a very like kind of what I was saying about the first person shooters, but it's like very like broad. Like it kind of goes into different things. Like you were saying, you have like your Mario type games, but then there's even like games like Celeste or Super Meat Boy, which are like these extremely challenging, high pace, like platforming, like very maneuver and pinpoint accuracy to get to the end of the levels. And like you even mentioned before, there's games that are like Hollow Knight or Ori and the Blind Forest, which are these Metroidvania games that have these like huge worlds that have like you go into one end of the map to the other. They have hidden optional weapons and items and bosses. Like you can tell how much like love and effort that all these studios put into those games, and they actually are very deep and have, you know, a lot of content in them. They're great.
Oh yeah, actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. So I guess because I was kind of putting the Metroidvania games in the 2D platformer like pool, but I guess to make it like an honorable mention, I guess like a more specific one that I love is the Metroidvania 2D platformer games.
Well, you have examples of there are other games that are like a Metroidvania, but it's not just a 2D platformer version. I'm trying to think of an example right now. I can't think of one, but there are games that are just, you know, hey, go to this end, you get something. I mean, Dark Souls is kind of like that.
Yeah. I would say even something like the Doom games, the more recent one, Doom. Because Doom is obviously like a first-person shooter, at like, you know, intense action game, but at the same time, it has a lot of like exploration, like, you know, like little hidden paths and bonuses and stuff, which kind of remind me of Metroidvanias in a way. And you do upgrade yourself as well.
That's true. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Owen Reese, once again. You're always supplying us with some great answers. We really appreciate it, Owen.
Yes, as always. And I'm sorry, there's one more question. I just totally forgot to mention that.
Oh, okay.
Yes, third question comes from
Trifecta.
Comes from Amanda N. Kiesel. And the question is, why won't Leo stay in his playpen? Huh.
I got an answer for that one. He's a puppy. He's got big puppy energy, or little puppy energy, excuse me. And yeah, he just wants to move. Yeah,
I would have to agree with that. Yeah, sorry guys. Amanda sent that on the on Instagram. I thought that was kind of cute, so I had to include that in the podcast. Because our puppy apparently has now gotten out of the playpen we have for him. I haven't installed like a roof on it, and he still gets out. And he still gets out of the playpen. So now
it's like Jurassic Park. He can open the doors.
Oh no!
Clever the door locks. Boy.
Someone's gonna lock the door locks.
That puppy isn't staying in the cage. All right, thank you once again. Mostly retro gaming. Sorry, I couldn't read the text. And Owen Reese, and also your fiance Amanda for the questions.
Yes, thank you very much, Owen, retro gaming, and Amanda. We appreciate it.
And if you'd like to send in a question like that, remember you can check out our Instagram, Level With Me Podcast, and we'll put up a little poll Monday evening in the middle of the day, or you can email us at levelwithmepodcast@gmail.com. But with all that being said, that's going to do it for the podcast this week, guys. Thank you so much for listening. We here at Level With Me, we want to, grow this thing out, our little seed. We want to have this sprout turn into a big tree one day. So please, watch our videos, listen to the podcast, give them a like, give them a share, tell your friends. It all helps us. And we should have more videos coming in the way. I have been having ongoing PC problems. Hopefully that won't hinder me too much. I still have plenty of content I can make for all the continued Let's Plays. And like I mentioned in this podcast, I would like to start my Super Mario 64. Well, I did start it, but I'd like to actually start making videos for the channel. So you can look forward to that. And Mike, what do you have coming up? I mean, we got to record some more Super Mario World at some point.
Yeah, definitely want to record some more Super Mario World. I was considering doing like another Let's Play again, just kind of like on my own. Maybe I'll find like another new game to play. I'll come up with something. If not, maybe I will just do like a Let's Play of a classic game that I love, and maybe one that I can get done in like a short amount of time.
Gotcha.
So I'll find something.
Yeah, no pressure. Take your time. Figure out what you want to do. I mean, Halloween is also around the corner. Oh, thank you. Were you gonna?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. The podcast kind of like cut out for a second. I apologize.
Thank you, Discord.
Yeah, thank you, Discord, for being a piece of crap. But so I'll say, if you guys want, please check out Corey's his channel, his streaming, his Twitch stream. It's Game Bro Corey, especially if he's going to be doing some more Mario 64. I'm sure that'd be very.
Yeah, I'll be Game Bro Corey
exciting.
On Twitch,
if you want, you can also find me on Instagram and YouTube. Ooh, sorry, there it goes again.
It's okay. You just keep going.
I know. I'm sorry about that. I hate Discord sometimes. Anyway, you can find me on Instagram and YouTube. That's the Collector's Vault. If you guys like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, anything collectible, you can find me on there. And we'll have all of our links in the description below.
Yes. And what else is there to say? That's the podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
We checked all the boxes. We made the meatball pizza joke. Shut the lights, Jerry. We're going home.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna.
Don't sing that. We're gonna get demonetized. We're gonna lose our penny on YouTube.
Crap! You're right. Maybe they won't recognize it.
How do we split a penny? Do you have like one of those hydraulic presses so we can maybe just put it in the middle or on the side, and would that work?
Yes, it would. I actually have one at work. We have a water saw.
All right, so once I get that laptop from your job and also visit the spider lab, I know where I'm going next.
Oh my god, don't go there.
See you guys next week.
All right. Have a good one, guys.